Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tumbleweeds and Tombstones, the game where each week my players try to accuse me of killing them, and I have to remind them that they're already dead.
Dead.
All right, well, here we are for another week. How's everyone been?
Well enough.
Hanging
I have
in
a flimsy head.
Only
So
as
bad.
slightly crazy as last week.
Okay, well, if we're all set, we'll go ahead and jump back in it with tonight's recap. So, when last we were with the Obsidian Spurs, you all were still prepping and getting ready for your time with the Lupines, a group of werewolves that had integrated themselves with a local Native American nation to find a way to get rid of them out of the area as per your instructions from your employer, Lord Pembroke. Wea had decided to reach out to his sire via a magic spell and ask him for what advice could be gleaned. It seemed like most of the information he had was information that is pretty common knowledge for most vampires, as there aren't a whole lot of expert vampires who fight lupines, as that's a very dangerous thing to do. However, he did sense in Wea the conflict that Wea had been going through between the darker aspects of his vampiric nature and his old desires to want to hold on to his humanity.
There is no conflict.
Giving him some moral advice and asking him to look within himself. You all then, with the advice from, I believe it was Liam, coming up with an idea of how to reach the chieftain of the Lupines by one of you summoning a wolf and wrapping around its neck the pendant that the chief had given you all as a sign of a temporary ceasefire between your group and his, and sent it off looking for the chieftain, hoping that they would find this wolf and getting the message that you wanted to talk. You guys went to your rest for the day, as the chieftain did in fact reach out to all of you telepathically as you envisioned yourself once again in that small cave underneath the Star Rock where you had met with him before. He confirmed that he was willing to meet with you all, though was fairly certain that he already knew that his son was making plans to try and overthrow him, and wasn't certain what good the talk would do, but was willing to at least hear you all out, as it is still his desire to wish to avoid unnecessary conflict and bloodshed. On top of that, he seemed to take a moment to peer into each of you and give you some advice on things that may be happening in your future and things to be wary of. None so much as Wea, whom he saw the internal struggle and conflict, which in the vision embodied itself in two drawings, one of a dark black wolf and the other of a white wolf coming down, and the chieftain asking Wea which one he would choose to follow. After some consideration, Wea decided to follow the white wolf, representing his little bit of his humanity, a little bit of his desire to still see the good in himself and possibly the world. Finding that he, in doing so, noticed a physical change in himself and was brought one step further away from the beast within all of you and a little bit closer to his humanity. And that, I believe, is where we left off for the evening, unless I'm forgetting anything from last session.
Nope, I think you got it.
Oh, no, there was a thing. We tested the knife.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. We did indeed test one of the items that you guys had gotten from Kasim, one that Adele had spirits touched and seen the history of the item, knowing that it seems to imbue the wielder with some kind of power, but has a toll as well, that it attaches itself to the user and seems to feed off of them. You guys summoned some deer and tried to cut yourself some venison. And while the blade did indeed cut in the hands of Atris, it didn't seem to be what the blade needed. So Atris then turned and stabbed Walter, noticing that the vitae on the blade did seep into the very blade itself. And inside her head, she heard a voice say, "Hungry." Only to then also notice that the wound that the blade had inflicted, though not deep, was not able to be healed by the normal means by Walter, and in fact did not get healed till the following evening. And I think now that's everything. So, without further ado, we will jump into tonight's episode of Tumbleweeds and Tombstones. Y'all wake once again, it being the evening that you are going to go find the elder, the direction embedded into Liam's mind. You all wake up and spend a blood. And you eventually all come down to your common meeting area inside the homestead and see each other.
No. Did anyone else have a funny dream last night?
I could have sworn when I got rid of that gin, but the nightmares would be over with. If everyone shared it, I assume that everyone got you too, old man. You know, I had never met him before, but I assume this is maybe the guy we're supposed to be meeting.
Yeah, it's the Indian chief Morokoro Macadamia. I always forget his name.
When did I get back here? Oh God, I woke up in the day. Did you guys see that?
It's a little bit different for everyone. It usually connects on a telepathic level.
Tell her who what?
I'm old for everyone being able to mind fuck me.
Especially without payment.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine having nightmares every night. Trust me, it gets old pretty quick.
If your arm is any indication. How does your arm, by the way?
Seems better. Feels a little different, but I'm sure that's just a formality for now.
But if I'm to believe the vision that I had, it seems the chief was kind enough to provide us with a location to where we're meeting tonight.
So then,
Well,
in that case,
good.
in that case, do we have
some direction?
Indeed. Do we have any reason to stick around, or shall we just get going?
No, I think we should get going. Although, while I'm perfectly content with us needing to protect ourselves, I think it might be a good idea to not pack any silver, considering we want to be as, focused. Least confrontational as possible.
Yeah, I don't think packing heat is going to help our situation.
At least not here.
I'll go outside and I'll get everyone's horses ready. And I'll actually come back inside and I'll say, so we're just taking our horses then, right? Or how far is this location? Are we taking the carriage?
Well, the carriage is currently being worked on by Josephine, but the horses will get us there faster.
Right. Horses. And then I'll go outside and I'll bring around the horses. Get them all prepared and make sure everyone's bags are packed. taken care of.
Get an extra set of clothes because, of course, you rip them to shreds.
Yeah, make sure everyone has a change of clothes for when we get bloodied.
It's only if we need to make conversation.
Everybody except for Wea, go ahead and give me a perception plus empathy roll.
Oh, come on. Where is it? I know I have it.
Standard two successes.
Okay, so that's 2 for Liam, 2 for Atris.
I'm sorry, what was the roll?
Perception empty.
7.
7.
To be fair, I get to roll 9 for that.
How empathetic are you? Or perceptive?
Very. It increased when I was blind.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Got 5, but with 3 10s.
So have you re-rolled the 10s yet?
Yeah, that's with all of them.
Okay, I'll say you all notice it. Adele and Noah and Walter seem to pick up on it the soonest, but the rest of you, as you notice in talking with Wei and seeing him get ready, whereas before some of you have met elder vampires before, and after the whole ordeal with the train and everything else, Wei seemed very different, very much not needing to blink, not going through the motions of trying to breathe and everything. Very, where if he was standing still, he looked like a statue. There was something very cold and stoic about him. And it's not a complete 180. He's not completely the way you all knew when you first met him. But there's a little bit more, best way to put this is life to him than the following night or the previous night.
Way is gonna come inside after getting all the horses ready. So are we all going or what? We just gonna sit here and start looking at each other?
Well, I'm ready to go. You look like you had a good night's sleep there.
You know what? I did. It's a breath of fresh air from the typical night teachings I am accustomed to.
Well, I suppose after a nightmare that burned your arm, any dream would be a welcome addition for your night, for your day.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, I'm ready to get right in as much as everybody else.
Oh yes, the sooner the better.
Let's go already.
So, clarification for the storyteller. Are you guys only not bringing silver weapons, or are you going sans any weapons?
Not bringing silver weapons.
Yeah, no
Just,
silver
yeah,
involved.
it would be just silver.
Because we don't know what we would run into otherwise.
All right. So y'all load up. Is there anything else specifically anyone wants to bring, or are you good?
I think I'm good. I don't think there's anything in my inventory.
Hatchets, knife, bow. Pretty sure I have everything. 2 vials of the potions.
There is 1 silver bullet in my inventory. I guess I would leave that behind.
Liam is going to bring the little glow crystal that he had that now has like the black swirliness in it.
Okay.
I'm gonna put down my silver tip dagger.
Okay. I assume, just as a common sense thing, that you guys are going to bring at least 1 or 2 oil lanterns that you can light on your way if you ever need to see in the dark.
Naturally, yes.
Yeah, I figured way it would take some time, like earlier when he was packing the horses, to make sure we brought
Yeah.
some lanterns.
I'll say
light sources for
it's
everyone
pretty
else.
early still. You all woke up around, I'd say 7-ish, and it probably took you about a half an hour to get all the horses thoroughly packed. I'll say, just for the sake of brevity, if it's something that's a common sense thing that you guys would bring while riding somewhere, I'll say you have it with you. If it's something that would be a bit of a stretch for a very specific thing, I might make you roll for it to see if you were that thoughtful in bringing it ahead of time. But otherwise, if it's basic supplies, you guys are good.
Definitely want to stop by Josephine's and let her know that we're leaving.
All right, you guys can definitely head that way. Are you going straight through town, or are you going around town to where her home is?
I see no need to go through town.
Yeah, we'll just go
Yeah, I
around
assume
town.
most direct way.
Save the blush of health.
All right. You all ride around, and you see Josephine's home coming up, and you can see, in fact, that there is smoke coming from the detached building that is her smithy.
And we'll just ride up. Josephine, hello. You in there doing some work?
You know I am, hun. I'll be right out.
Sounds good.
We should not that she's always working, and she's always working.
Josephine comes out, hair tied back. You see her leather apron on her, a little bit of soot on her shoulders and everything else. And well, now, how you all doing tonight?
Oh, doing all right.
Doing better than normal. How's things in the forge?
They are progressing just fine. They are progressing mighty fine. If I do say so for myself, I think this might be some of my best work.
Well, that's good. Glad things are progressing pretty well. We just figured we'd stop by and let you know that we're gonna be out of town probably for a day or two, depending on how long it takes us to accomplish this small journey we have to go on.
All right. Well, hopefully by the time you get back, I'll finish with the first project y'all gave me, and well, I'll look after your place for you while you're gone.
Please do. Make sure you take close care of Henry. Keep a close eye on him.
And Bartleby's there too.
Yes, nothing forget about the gold.
All right. I'll be sure to check in on them both. Y'all be safe now.
You too, Josephine. Don't hurt yourself.
You know me better than that, Shug.
You know, Suchik says cuts nails.
And when we're far enough outside of town, I'll call Sonoy, and I'll inform him of our mission and where we are going.
Are you asking him to come along with you?
Yes. He'll be riding with us.
Okay. I'll say it takes a good 15 minutes or so, but you guys kind of hold back just long enough for him to catch up, and then once you see him come running up, he's ready to go, and he runs alongside you guys.
All right. Excellent.
Okay.
Now, while Liam knows where to go technically because of psychic visions, I have no idea where to go.
So Liam, from town, you know that you're looking at going a southwest direction, sort of towards where further down to where like the Star Rock would be, but further more to the west.
Understand?
Go ahead and give me a wits plus awareness roll. Standard difficulty.
Three.
You're able to focus in, and it's almost like when you close your eyes, there's an overlay of the path you're supposed to follow, and almost like the path itself is almost lightly, faintly glowing, where you can kind of follow it in your mind's eye. And anytime you start to feel like you're getting off the trail, you're able to close your eyes and refocus, and you feel this like guiding. And for you, it's almost like muscle memory. Even though you know you haven't been to this place before, some part of you almost feels as familiar walking here as you would getting back to the homestead. There's just this homing pigeon-esque feeling of going where you're headed. I'll say you guys ride for about 2 hours at a steady pace, unless you decide to really work the horses. Wea, you definitely feel like your horse definitely could be going a lot faster, but is keeping to the pace that you are asking him to do. And without incident, you guys are riding alongside. Walter speaks up. So, what do we plan to do once we get there?
Oh, were we planning?
Well, I'd assume we would have hopefully find him and at least, well, talk to him about, well, I assume he knows his son's going to betray him, but I mean, what do we are going to offer him, or just tell him that's going to sway him to get a whole swath of people against his son and his followers?
Well, I know what I'm doing. As soon as I get there, poof, I'm checking the perimeter.
I'll probably ask to use the restroom to appear more human.
The place we're going, are we meeting up with him by himself, or what exactly happened in your vision?
No, he just simply gave us a location. There was no discussion about who would be there or what. But considering what happened last time, I don't think we have to worry about anything. Not unless he means to betray us like everyone else does.
With our luck.
So our goal is to show up and talk then? Maybe be diplomatic somehow?
That is the plan now before we have an all-out war.
Now, this relic that we have Henry looking for, are we all available to use that as a bargaining chip?
I don't often like to bargain something that I don't have.
Well, yeah, but they know we're capable. They know how much this alliance means to us, and Henry's pretty close in finding it. Last time I talked to him, he seemed pretty hopeful.
I mean, I wouldn't promise something that we don't have yet. I mean, a rumor is a rumor until we find something.
I'm just saying though, that is probably our best option of being diplomatic here, is offering something to help them.
Roadhog!
But I guess we'll see how this conversation goes.
Oh, at the very least, we can inform them that the humans are looking for it. Or at least that they were, and they were keeping notes, and that we now are kind of on the trail. I'm not sure how much he knows about it to begin with, or what it really even does.
Well, at least we have new knowledge we can bring to him.
I'll say you guys ride for another hour, so by this point it's getting to be about 10:30, something like that. And Liam, you're definitely feeling like you're getting close. Go ahead and give me a perception alertness.
up and re-rolled into a 1. 1 success.
Okay. Led mainly by your feelings rather than what your eyes are telling you, you come up to this large hill face. You see, you get the idea that this area would be very pretty during the spring and summer months. Right now, there's a lot of trees that are in the hibernation, so they've lost their leaves and things like that. But there's a certain nice look to it in a winter sense. There is a frozen lake off to the right. And you ride a little bit further, and this large hill face, you kind of come up and go, okay, there should be something here. You know it's somewhere around here. There's something about it that you're trying and find that's kind of this yes. So what I'd say is all of you can go ahead and give me a Perceptigate roll.
Yes, I'm good at this. Four successes.
All right, so 4 successes for Wea and Adele.
6
Adele had 4.
successes.
Oh, sorry, for Liam and Adele. 6 successes for Noah. 1 success for Atris.
Liam also only got 1 success.
Got it. Okay. So I'll say Noah, you're very familiar with secret places and secret hiding spots, and as a Nos, it's almost kind of your sixth sense of being able to suss out these things. And a split second before Wea and Adele pick up on this, you notice there's this one bit of the outcrop of rock that has these scratch marks in almost like a doorway shaped. They're not very close together, but they're kind of spread out. And at first you just think it's a scratch mark, but then you look that there's actually kind of a pattern to it, almost like it's a language you don't quite understand. And as you go to put your hand to where the center of what this doorway would be, you notice that it just passes through.
Whoa, there's a ghost straw.
Hmm.
No, not more
Not sure this-
illusions.
One
Not
could
sure
say
this
it's
is
a
the way to connect things.
boulder.
Well, this
Liam
is
just
where
goes up like, where is it? Ah,
this is
I'm
where
inside.
Hmm.
You reckon this is the place?
I mean, only one way to find out.
that or a trap, but you came here in confidence, so
I'm already in. I haven't fallen through anything.
maybe you should keep your voice down.
I'd like to obfuscate and wait by the door.
Okay. You go ahead and do that. Liam, as you're shouting, there's a bit of an echo as it goes down this tunnel. You all, do the rest of you go ahead and pass through the door?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Walter thinks for a second and goes, you all holler if you need some help. I'm gonna stay out here with Noah, wherever he is.
Just met him.
In case he sees anything. If we see anything coming in after you guys, we'll give a holler. But if you need some help, you just let us know.
Be safe, Walter.
You too, Wea. The rest of you pass through, and as soon as you go past the barrier, you all see what Liam saw. It is what looks like not at all a manufactured like mine shaft. It's not like it's a perfectly dug out, but the roughness of it, you are looking, and as you're looking at the sides, you see long, very old. They are not at all fresh. These are something that have been dug out decades ago, at least by the wearing of the rock. But you can see large scratch marks that almost like a giant animal had burrowed through here. The tunnel itself is about, at places it gets wider and narrower because again it's not a perfectly manufactured tunnel, but at the widest usually about 10 feet apart, at the more narrow parts somewhere between 7 and 8 feet apart. And you have about you notice that they are a little bit taller though, usually about at least 10 feet worth of headspace.
Pretty large area we're walking through here.
It is also pitch black once you get past a good 15 feet for everyone other than Wea. So you guys do have, I assume you left your horses outside, so Walter can be watching the horses. Did you guys want to go ahead and light up some of your oil lanterns?
Sure, agents will take your lantern and light one up.
Yeah, I'll pass out the lanterns to him.
How many would you say you would have brought, Wea?
Probably like 2.
Okay, so Atris and Liam. What's the marching order here?
I'll be maybe like second or third. I figured Liam would be leading us.
Go to the impatience.
Liam's in front. H's will go in the back just to kind of just give light coverage.
Then I guess it's Noah and Adele in the back. Or Noah's out in the front. I mean, the door or whatever.
All right, so Wea, you're up like right behind Liam.
Yeah, I'll be behind Liam. Kind of pushing him, not pushing him through, but like leading him with my vision a little bit further than the lantern can go.
And are you having Sonoy come with?
I think I'll have. How big was this chamber one time? You said that it was like 8 feet, right? This like tunnel cavern thing.
8 to 10 feet wide, about 10 feet tall.
A decent sized, pathway.
I'll take him with us. Yeah, that's fine. I'll have him kind of right behind me in marching order.
And then Adele, I assume that means that you'll be right in front of Atris in the rear.
I swear if we come up on a trap door.
All right, I feel this is a good time for me to bust out the map. So
Oh, dual cam map.
It's been a while since we had a map.
I insist you map out our home for no good reason.
I think I did once, but I'll do it again. Host, I need you to enable screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
Please stand by. Map.
All right, so here we go.
Nice. This looks
Why are the
cool.
inner squares smaller than the outer squares?
It looks great. I love it.
Oh, I'm no longer a plum.
All right, so we got our marching order here. We'll have Walter and Noah or waiting out near the front somewhere. One of these days I'll have to get pictures drawn for Atris and Noah. But we go ahead and have the marching order. We have light source with Liam, light source with Atris, as you guys start to head down the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna need to worry about trapdoors here, Liam. If anything's gonna be a trap, they're gonna ambush us.
That's what I assumed. At the very least, we were invited.
True. It'd be pretty rude to kill their guests, right?
It's bad decorum, really.
I mean, you would know about all that fancy smancy stuff.
True, but I actually do rely on your expertise to know more about native customs than I do. I can only tell you how to be polite in high society, but even then it's not really polite. It's more conniving and backstabbing and under the breath.
Yeah, sounds a lot less enjoyable than native life, I'll tell you that.
More dishonest, really.
You guys come up to your first fork in the road. Which way would you like to go?
I'm gonna kneel down and I'm gonna make eye contact with Sonoy, and I'll say out loud to him, go down the left tunnel, just not too far, but maybe a good distance, then come back and report to us what you can see. Be careful. Don't fall into anything.
Liam will close his eyes and see if he can see like any like internal like light up stuff that's being sent to him.
All right, Liam, go ahead and give me a perception plus awareness. Wea, I'm gonna give you your first common sense for the night. You do know that because this is underground, this isn't like normal, like nocturnal kind of thing. Without some kind of light source, it's going to be hard for Sonoy to see like further because you guys are currently underground.
Okay, well then, what direction would you guys like to go?
I got 5 successes.
Liam, you're getting the idea that maybe going towards the left is going to get you a little bit deeper in here. By the way, well, again, while not perfectly straight, this tunnel is relatively flat. While you're going deeper into the hillside, you're not necessarily going like deeper down, just deeper straight.
I think we need to go to the left, actually. Oh, Adele, I don't know how you do this when you touch anything.
Is it definitely not working in like working in a whorehouse?
All right, you all make it down.
Are those rocks and hay bales?
No, they're tombstones and tumbleweeds.
Yes.
Roll
Finally,
credits.
it all comes together. This is it, guys. This is where it all makes sense.
Got him.
Roll credits.
Yeah, for
No, as per the map, the darker ones are piles of rocks, some of which you get the idea may have fallen from the ceiling and kind of just been left there. Some of them are just natural boulders or large rocks within the earth. Any of the lighter colored ones are actually stalagmites that are coming up from the ground, because as you look up, the first thing you guys notice is while temperature doesn't really affect you guys, as opposed to the temperature outside, which is still relatively cold because it is Texas during the middle of winter, it's actually really humid in here. It's extremely warm. And you're noticing as you're looking around and kind of looking around, there is actually a bit of steam that is crawling along the roof of this cavern, which up here is now about 15 feet up rather than it kind of opens up a few more feet. And you notice that steam is dripping in certain places and dripping onto these, off of the stalactites onto the stalagmites, as some of them are slowly but surely over the hundreds and thousands of years eventually trying to meet each other in the middle.
I said to keep Liam away from these.
Well, they only bother me if I fall on one and have it impale itself through my chest like last time.
Let's not repeat that, please.
Yeah.
You also look up, and as you have your lanterns up, you notice there's a bit of reflection happening. And there's some kind of, when you look a little bit closer, it's hard to see through the steam, but you notice that there is some kind of mineral or something up there that is reflecting the light and almost making the ceiling of this place look like it's sparkling a little bit. Go ahead and give me a perception plus survival roll. Difficulty is 7.
I'm good at this. I can do this.
Oh, I actually don't have any in survival. That's
I'm using all my gem dice for this.
0.
Wow. 1. Goddamn ones.
I would not have anything in survival. You would think that's like one of the things interest would have.
Well, when a young kindred fills out their character sheet and they don't put a dot in survival. He's in the other room, but he's going to hit me.
Reach out and smack someone. All right, so what did everybody get?
1.
0.
3. 2. Noah, how much? Oh, Noah's not in here.
Noah stayed outside.
Noah just shouts down the tunnel, I know what it is. Atris, how much for you?
0.
Liam, as someone who has lived the life of luxury and a dandy for quite some time in the recent years, there was a time before this where you had to spend several nights under the stars. And even since joining the game, there's many a time where you guys were camped out for a bit under the stars before then finding lodging during the day. You notice that you're looking up and go, wait, I know this one. That's the Big Dipper. And that's the Little Dipper. And you're looking, and what at first just seems to be these random little twinkles are actually a copy of the night sky, where it seems like these gems, whatever they are, have actually been intentionally placed. So that way, if you were to look up or even lay down and look up, it would be a copy of the night sky.
Danny knows this, but but with Liam's role, does he know that the edge of the Big Dipper is the North Star?
Give me an int plus survival. Or I will let you do a int plus academics if you want to be that you read it somewhere.
I've got one more in academics. Ooh, okay. Come on. Okay, 3.
I will say yes, both in just stories about travelers, sailors, things like that, and also knowledge that given the Silver Arrow Trading Company doing some business abroad, there are still ships that your sire owns that go to and from different ports, and that is something that you would be knowledgeable of.
Well, I think we have a star map above our heads.
I'll look up and try and deduce that with my one roll if the gems look like.
I'll say with him telling you that, you're able to look up, and now that you know what you're looking for, you definitely do see it as the night sky.
Yeah,
but an artificial one.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a map to the outside if I've ever seen one. I spent a lot of time in the ground, so. And I'll just kind of like do a soft walk around, like not like a big circle around the chamber, but I'll like just trot in a small circle looking up and just kind of tracing it with my finger and really mapping it all out.
All right. You look up, and all of you, now that Liam has drawn your attention to this as you look up at it, are really impressed at the meticulous amount. It's not like they only put up like one constellation here or one constellation there. There must be thousands, if not millions, of these little tiny gems reflecting in the light, and the steam almost kind of making you feel like, oh my god, I am outside, almost like it's cloud cover going past. Knowing that someone intentionally did this either would take someone even of your kind multiple lifetimes to do, or this was something that was completed over generations of whoever the artisans are. And Adele, especially as someone who appreciates art, you can appreciate the amount of dedication this took. And well, yeah, it looks really accurate. Like if you were to, you kind of hold your hand out a couple of times and measure it the way you've been taught how to measure the distance of the stars and kind of get to know where you're going. It seems accurate. It's hard to tell just at a glance, like what time of year, because I mean, they are stationary. There's no magic to them, and they're not moving with the heavens or anything like that, to best you can tell. So it's a stationary map of some kind, but it doesn't, so it's hard to tell what time of year this is replicating or what, but you definitely get that there's probably something very significant about this, because this would be an extreme passion project for someone to just do for aesthetic purposes.
This definitely looks like some sort of ceremonial chamber. They wouldn't lead us here unless it was something important. It might be maybe a meeting room between clans, something. It definitely is meaningful to them. This isn't just an ordinary chamber.
Well, I will admit that I could definitely stay here all evening, but that would just be for leisure. But we do have a job and an appointment to keep.
Yeah, it's hard to
We
remember.
should probably get going.
Yeah, let's continue.
Liam closes his eyes again.
Perception plus empathy. Sorry, awareness. Perception awareness.
Either way, same amount of dice for me. Two.
All right. A little bit distracting with all of this here, and with the awareness, you definitely feel like there's some kind of vibe here. It's not necessarily that, and especially with you being immune to magic, it's a little bit harder to get through, but you definitely feel like there's an energy here, and it's not necessarily negative, it's not necessarily positive, it's just there.
Plus, shiny objects usually catch Liam's attention for kleptomania, and he's trying to suppress it.
But you do get the idea to go to curve up and to the left. As you guys pass, follow, and you guys all kind of follow Liam on this one. As you get closer to some of the walls, those same scratch marks that Noah noticed at the entrance of the cavern, you definitely notice on the walls, going a good 10, 12 of those 15 feet up all the way to the floor. And while you cannot tell what it says, it is very obviously spaced like a language, where there's gaps and spaces where between the different words and everything else. And it's just 12 feet up, down, and all the way as you kind of like look with your lanterns against the wall. It's this entire thing. And every so often you see hand marks in red paint next to very, very large, what looks like lupine paw marks on there with the elongated fingers of their what you think of when you think lupines when they're in their full form, put on there every so often. And it comes after there'll be a section of these marks and then a handprint in the larger werewolf handprint, and then more of these marks and another handprint, and all the space between the marks are different sizes. Some of it goes on for a couple of feet, some of it goes on for yards, but it goes on for a little bit, and it seems to be wrapping around this entire section of the cavern.
I swear, if that just reads as "Have a great summer," I'm going to murder someone.
All this intrepid writing warnings, or is it what purpose?
I don't know, but it certainly is tribal. I've seen not something like this, but you know, my people would communicate with hands and all sorts of different symbols on walls and caves. I've never seen anything like this before, though. This is beyond anything.
If this chamber is as significant as we're assessing, I'm going to assume it wouldn't necessarily be a warning, but more ritualism or praise or prayers, possibly.
Maybe
some
a
sort.
Story.
Potentially.
Maybe
There
it's
is-
explaining the story of how they became them.
There is power in story and
You
ritual.
know, this place looks like it's historically meaningful. Maybe it has something to do with becoming who they are. So can't help to say it's almost an honor to be in this. Like, you'd almost never see this anywhere else.
Once in Jersey. No.
Rocks fall, Liam dies.
Finally. I'm just kidding.
All right. In the meantime, Noah, you're outside. You're obfuscated. Walter's sitting there minding the horses. What would you like to do?
As I understand it, this is the cave, so there's a rock structure above it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try and get to a higher vantage point and take a look out.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a. Now, Wea said that he packed 2 lanterns and they took it with you. So you do have the night sky to light your way, but not really a additional light source. Go ahead first and give me a Dex Athletics to climb up this structure, as it doesn't have a built-in like footpath or anything like that that you can tell.
Well, at the very least, we're only a week away from the full moon, so there should be some moonlight out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a 5.
You are able to heft yourself up there relatively easy. Do give me, however, though, a Dex Stealth. Difficulty is only 5.
Secret agent man.
Secret tunnel.
So I got 4.
You are able to get up. Since you're not in a huge rush, you're also very much able to watch your footing as to not accidentally loosen some rocks or anything that would break the obfuscate. You get up. It's not a very tall hillside. It's very much this tunnel was built into a hill, not necessarily a mountain. And there is a ledge that you're able to climb up. I'd say a good 30 feet up. It takes you a little bit to get up there, but you're able to get up and get a good vantage point of the rest of this hillside, of as I said, what would probably be a grove of looks like maybe elm or oak trees that are currently in hibernation for the winter, a frozen lake that is off to the side. You'll gain a good vantage point of around you as best you can see going by moonlight and things of that nature.
Now, I'm not assuming that I'd be able to see them, but would I still be able to look in the direction of Walter and Bartleby?
Bartleby is not with you guys. Bartleby is back at the homestead, so it's just Walter with the horses.
Okay.
And yes, you can see from this vantage point Walter and the horses.
Do I see anything else other than the landscape? Is there anything that shouldn't be? Any lights? Smoke in the distance?
Give me a perception plus alertness roll. Difficulty is going to be 8 because you are going just off of moonlight.
So I got 3.
Nice. Okay. I'll say with 3 successes, you look around and at first glance, it doesn't seem like anything is necessarily out of place. And you spend so much time looking out that you're not really looking around until you look down and you get the idea that there might have been some snowfall within the last couple of days or so. And you notice huge wolf-like paw prints, about a half dozen or so, right about where you're standing.
I guess I would look around for her. I guess I would check the snow to see how deep the paw prints were or how long ago they were made.
Okay, that's going to be like tracking, so that's going to be a perception plus, I'm going to say survival, just because this is tracking is a very specific skill.
Okay. Oh, still 3 successes on that.
Some of them are older. Some of them are maybe from like last night or the night before, but there's definitely some of them that are from probably earlier today.
All right, so we got to be on our toes. In the ground under me, that just looks like average rock.
Yep, there's some
Covered in
rocks, some dead bushes, or at least, again, in winter hibernation, some snow, some grass that is growing up underneath it. So, I mean, it's not like when next to Taylorsville where everything's been choked out and everything else. This still seems to be natural barren because of the time of year that it is.
And for the fresh tracks, how many of them look fresh? Does it just look like one set?
It looks like more than one set. More beyond that, I'd say with 3 successes, it's hard to tell, just because you're not really tracking isn't exactly your forte, but it's definitely more than one set.
Okay. I'm gonna return back to Walter
Okay.
and let him know my findings, that there's more than one werewolf in the vicinity and that they've been here sometime today. That whoever we've come to meet, there isn't just one of them.
Well, I know the last time we met them, they definitely weren't alone either. They seem to travel in groups. You reckon we should go tell the others?
Might be helpful. I didn't see any signs of danger from up high.
All right, well, shoot, I'd hate to leave the horses all like this, but you can sneak in all invisible like, can't you?
I do reckon I can.
Maybe you should go meet up with the rest, although, let's see if Walter would think about this. Yeah, okay. He actually rolled pretty high. Walter sits there and goes, you might want to, like, once you find the rest, like, not be all invisible, so that way, like, the chief doesn't think that you're trying to, like, sneak up on him.
It's probably a good idea. I don't want to present myself wrongly.
I'll stay here, and if I see signs of trouble, I'm not as good at it as you and Wea, but I'll give a hoot once if I'm suspicious of something. I'll give a hoot twice if I'm in trouble.
Well, if you can't hear us hoot back at you, I'll just stab away. I'm pretty sure you'll get the idea.
Oh God.
And he looks at you like he's not sure if you're joking, and if it is, it's not funny. But there's that little bit of biological need to protect his blood brother. But he's like, I reckon if Wea's in trouble, I'll sense it.
That's what I just said as I walk away.
As you head down. So I'll say, Noah, you come down the tunnel. Again, you notice the same thing that the others did. It's about 10 feet by, about 7 feet by 8 to 10 feet. Looks to be carved out, but not recently done so, probably hundreds of years ago, if not, or decades, kind of hard to tell. You come to this intersection. Which way do you go?
I reckon I would just have my hand on the wall trying to follow in the darkness.
Well, there's 2 walls, so...
I
How about
reckon,
this? I will say, give me a perception plus alertness, because one, you are also, since you're going along the wall, it is pitch black in here. You cannot see. So I'll say, give me perception alertness for hearing, as the others are kind of talking amongst themselves to see if you can discern which way the echoes are coming from.
Oakley does.
That's by far the weirdest double standard with Nas who live in dark caves and can't see in the dark.
Yeah, isn't that strange? I was just thinking that myself.
Even for hearing, that was a 7 successes. with
Wow.
3 rerolls. So
You listen, and there is a bit of echo going on, and it does seem to be coming louder from your left. So you head down that way, and once again, as you're heading down this tunnel, you're feeling the temperature rising, and it's starting to get muggy and humid. And it opens up into this larger room, and you see the same thing, and you see the light source starting to head off further to the left, so you kind of quicken pace. Do you drop obfuscate or do you keep it for now?
I'm gonna keep it for a second.
Okay, I'll say
If I
you
can
catch
sneak up on our allies.
you catch up right behind Atris. Go ahead and give me give me a Dex plus stealth roll again, please.
Yeah. Seven.
God damn.
Spider farts in the wind. You are spider
Yes.
farts in the wind.
No, like spider farts.
Only when I don't need it.
So you are able to sneak up like right up next to where Atris is. What do you do?
I'd probably use the light of that lantern nearby to check the rest of the room around us, considering I didn't hear the revelation that Liam went through.
Okay. You see the sparkling up above. You see the scratches that look like the ones in the doorway that you found with the red paint of the human-sized hand and then the werewolf-sized clawed hand right next to it. I mean, you can give me a wits plus survival to try and figure out the stars.
That was only that's no successes. I see that one.
They are shiny and pretty. Other than that, are you doing anything else, or are you just following behind quietly?
I'll just follow behind for now.
Okay. Liam, you start to head down this tunnel here. I assume everyone else is following in the same marching order.
Yep.
La, 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 la.
All right. And as you guys are heading down here, you're noticing the steam is actually making it a little bit harder to see in here, even with the lantern lights kind of reflecting against it, almost like headlights on fog. And Wea, you're having trouble seeing, not because it's dark, but just because it's kind of like walking into a steam room. This tunnel is kind of compacting the steam. At least in the other room, it has room to kind of dissipate and spread out. This is definitely where the steam is coming from. I'd say it's now very warm. It is not to the point where you guys are getting nervous because there's no fire. And that's the thing. It very much feels like steam, it's not smoke, it's steam. And every so often you hear up ahead this noise.
I don't suppose it's an underground bathhouse.
No. Be careful of your footing. I've heard of hot water springs under the earth before. I've never seen one, but you could be walking into one.
And up ahead, you do start to see that the tunnel starts to open up. I'll say, Noah, you see this as well. Still staying invisible. Yes, no, maybe.
He mutedly said yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. It opens up and you see a cavern, quite a bit smaller than the other one that you came from, about as tall, still about that 15 feet high, and just a thick steam in here. And as you start to walk in, Liam, how far do you go before you stop?
Liam is actually going to walk in pretty much to enough where everyone can get in. He doesn't want to bottleneck the group.
You notice from the left to the right of the immediate entrance, left up above and then right again, there are these vents in the ground that a little bit of steam is coming up, and then every so often one will and there will be a vent of hot steam that comes from the ground. And Atris specifically, you've been to bathhouses from your country and things like that where they see the benefit of steam and things like that. This feels very much like that. Luckily, none of this is triggering you guys as far as the fire fear, because again, there's nothing flaming in here other than Liam. But other than that, there's nothing actually on fire in here. It just seems to be a steam. So it's okay. It's just warm. And as you guys move forward, you see 4 stone circular, almost looks like stools placed around a currently not lit, what looks like a large area for a bonfire, where you can see that they've smoothed out the stone itself. I'd say the fire itself, it looks like it could be like 10 feet across, but there's currently nothing ignited in it. It just seems the space. You see old logs that are ashen and burnt up in there. And across the way, you see the chieftain, Morokoro, sitting in a chair that seems to be a combination of stone and also animal pelts that have been draped over it for comfort, as he is sitting there, eyes closed. And I'll say it's a little bit hard because of the steam, but everyone in here can go ahead and give me a perception alertness. Difficulty 7 because of steam.
I'd like to drop my obs boost if I can do that quietly.
Okay. Atris and Adele, you suddenly notice Noah hopping right next to you.
Liam's perception was a botch.
It's steamy in here.
Ugh, it's relaxing.
4 successes.
Ugh, I didn't know the tribe had a spa.
I got 6.
Okay, so Noah and Adele, you notice this first. Where the bigger chambers seem to have these scratch marks and the hand and giant wolf prints. This one has pictographs, not hieroglyphics, but very much you've seen these before in your time in America, and then as you start to look, Wea and Liam, you kind of follow their eyes and look on the walls. Different style than what you're used to, Wea. After all, these are different people than the Cherokee. But very much in that style of, it is pictures telling a story, and you see human-shaped people figures. You see people that are obviously supposed to be warriors because they're holding weapons. You see people hunting because you see animals, deer, buffalo, things like that. But you also see things that are very clearly supposed to be lupines, extremely large wolves, the man-wolf hybrid of wolves walking on two legs. Adele and Noah, because you got 6 successes to really be looking at this, you two can give me another roll for perception academics. Two. 3. Okay, Adele, you pick up on this a little bit more, and it's subtle, but some of the figures you notice around where on the head, where the mouth would be, a little bit of red is put. And they have their mouth where there's no paint, so that way it looks like an open mouth, and 2 little lines coming down. And in these, you seem to be, there's this one particular mural that is actually at the beginning, and that's when you start to notice that the ceiling seems to be this large circular part of this drawing that seems to be a you see these wolves starting to, one wolf slowly turn into a man, the other one slowly turn into a wolf. You see the spreading out, and then you see pretty close to it as you notice that the pattern seems to like almost spiral around the ceiling and then wrap down to the walls and spiral around that downwards to the floor. Somewhere near the top, but not at the dead center, you notice these things with the red smeared and the 2 little lines that seem to be forming a mouth in conflict with the lupines. And I'll say with 3 successes, you suss out that these could potentially be kindred that they're supposedly depicting in conflict with the lupines. And you're noticing with the pattern, this seems to be a history. Like the dead center of the ceiling seems to be the origin, and then as it progresses with the spiraling out, time is going forward.
Question is interesting.
With Liam's
There's a
botch
whole
roll, he's
bunch
just
of-
looking for like the tray of stones where you can pour more water and get more steam.
As Adele says that out loud, you hear the chieftain go, yes, it is. Interesting to say the least. And he stands. Welcome. I see you found your way here.
Yes, we did. We are honored to be in this ceremonial place.
You are the first of your kind to come here, and I do not suspect others shall follow you.
Oh. Now, my apologies. This is quite an impressive structure. Even just getting into this portion was a rather gorgeous sight to see.
The
But,
sacred place.
I cannot tell you that it is not lost upon us the significance of our invitation to be here.
You should also know that by allowing you to come here, I am breaking dozens of laws and writing, some of which I have written myself. It is no small thing that I am doing this. I hope that that is showing you my intentions are honest.
We believe you.
Indeed, I do not believe you would put yourself in even more risk and it's like even more insurrection by allowing people who your own would consider an abomination in such a sacred place.
I definitely believe you are alone. Your voice tells me as much. But I did witness multiple tracks right above us.
Oh, I certainly have guards in the area. While we do have a ceasefire, you'll forgive me if I do not trust you all 100%. I have to still keep some caution.
Don't take it personally.
You know, I will
Much
say
rather
this.
deal with you.
I will say this. It is while I understand that two species have been at conflict for quite some time, it has been a bit odd that every interaction we've had with specifically your kind, we have not been the instigators. In fact, we, for the most part, were just passing through. And then when we did seek out just conversation previously, your son was not the most accommodating.
He is young and spirited. In some ways, that will help my people, guide them, as these are dangerous times. But he goes too far with it. But I will say, as he glances up to the ceiling and at the walls, his two colored eyes scanning. Again, you always look at him and it's always hard to tell if there's a little bit of light behind coming from those eyes or if it's just reflecting. You are but 6 in a long history. The history of our two peoples has been intertwined for as long as our people can remember. And while indeed he is rash and full of his own anger, there are many of my kind that wished peace and found death came to them in the night.
What does the decor depict in these rooms? We noticed the star map in the previous chamber. What does all this speak of?
It is us. It is the history of our people, not just while this room, and he looks closer and you look at the floor and you notice that this continues on the floor and there is blank space where there is still room for things to be added, but it has started to wrap around the floor as well. While newer editions speak of my particular people, the origins are shared amongst our kind, the Guru, and our first beginnings, our grandfathers' grandfathers, the first ones. In this room, I teach ones of our kind that are about to become adults. For them to know how to move forward, we must first know how to look behind. And as he says that, you notice almost a glimmer of the one blue eye fade as the one yellow eye, then kind of like a trade-off as he mentions forward and behind. And so this is the history of us, of our people.
And we come into play.
very often, as it so seems in recent history. Who knows? Maybe your likenesses will be etched here at one time.
Rather that than our corpses.
Either is still a possibility, depending on how things go. But you want to speak with me as he holds up the necklace that you sent back. I'm listening. Please be seated if you so choose. I have done you the favor of not lighting the fire, as he gestures to the large fire pit in front of you guys.
Before I take a seat, I do have this to give you, and I actually give him like the shard that has the black energy in it.
He reaches over and he takes it in his hand. Is anyone else sitting down?
I am for sure. I'm definitely taking a seat. I'm interested.
Interest will take a seat.
I'll take one seat.
All right. He looks at it and he kind of glances it over and you see that glimmer in his eyes kind of shine a little bit. And what is it that you have brought me?
Very recently, our dwelling has had uninvited guests. That creature that lives in the mine just outside of Taylorsville has been trying to extend its influence. This crystal has the ability to absorb properties of magical power, and it seems to have absorbed some of that monstrosity's essence. I'm not sure what you might be able to do with it, but that is at least part of what we are trying to deal with. Now, I'm not too familiar with your history, but I would be led to believe that you have been here for some time, considering the amount of carvings on here. And I am not too familiar with how long Noah's tribe has been living within the mines of Taylorsville, but it seems up until this creature made its influence, there was a relative balance. Not saying peace, but just unspoken understanding. That has been called to an extreme question.
As you say, my people sensed this creature's first presence and then desire to spread its ilk forward. It is because of that that the other chieftains are being called. For if you cannot deal with the issue yourselves and cut out this sickness from the land, it is the sworn duty of my people to do so. They come to cleanse the land.
Oh, well, the conversation that we had yesterday before we left our forms for the day, you did mention sparing the innocent. Now, I don't presume to speak for my companion here, Noah, because it is his particular family that lives within there. But it is known to us, at least. Not everyone wishes to serve their new master. They're merely being forced in. And in fact, part of what they have been requesting is that we find a way to make your participation less threatening, or at least remove that part of the equation so that they can feel confident having an uprise against this blight that has taken over their lives.
Then it seems that we are even further at odds.
Hmm.
He looks at Noah. What is it your people wish? For we have been aware that there have been a gathering of your kind under those mines for quite some time.
We have been there since before the Elder's presence has come upon us. And many of us just wish for a quiet life, one of finding out the secrets of this world. But truly, we do not wish harm upon others unless necessary. And in this time of need, I would certainly hope that you become more of a neighbor than a hindrance to my people, a fear among them.
I can tell that you have an earnest feeling in your words. And I can tell also that you are young among your kind, so to speak.
I indeed am inexperienced, but I come as a representative for many of those who do not wish ill upon your kind, compared to those who blindly accept the orders of their elders.
That I believe. Though I wish we could live in such a world where lasting peace between our peoples was an option. Some wounds run too deep. That is something I could never convince my kind of. But, as I've said before, I do notice a more pressing danger from this, as you call it, elder, than from your group's existence. Hence why I commanded my people to not impede this group's movement, although that was before I had the pleasure of meeting some of you, as he looks around to both Atris and Noah. And it seems that there are some of you that I have met before that I have not been able to reach for quite some time, though not from lack of trying. There are a few of you whose paths have become shrouded from me. And that is no small feat. There's definitely another force at work there, but that's another issue, I assume. I understand that this being is the greater evil amongst all things. And though you come to me saying you wish to be neighbors, I think if you truly asked what was in the heart of hearts of those of your kind, they would eventually wish to see my kind not in these lands. But I think for now we can agree that we have a common enemy. But I agreed that some time ago. The question is, what new information or what new conversation have you come here to have with me?
I'll kind of make a look over at Liam and kind of like raise my eyebrows a little bit.
Well, we definitely share your concern that it is not, in fact, an everlasting peace. We six merely cannot speak for everyone of our kind, and there are far too many clans and factions, just as much as you cannot speak for every single, lupine in existence. It's less about an everlasting peace and more about checks and balances. the other kindred that exists nearby are well aware of what kind of force that you are, and that is quite a sufficient reason to keep most of them in check, or at least most of them from even daring across your territory. It seems your current location from Taylorsville's mines is in a rather well-established checkpoint of boundary. What we are trying to attempt to do is get those that wish not to bend the knee to this creature to formally rally against it and reestablish Michael back as the leader of this tribe. But your son is proving to have very solid intentions on making sure that we are wiped from the face of the earth. I worry that a conflict with him is inevitable. More so worried that if a conflict leads to us being the victor, you would have, well, a rather large hole in your heart if we were to come out as a success.
We don't wish war with your kind. We wish to be at peace. We do not. So at this point, we need to know who essentially is, willing to work with us, and who is essentially just wanting to kill us outright.
So what is it you ask of me? For I know what my son's intentions are, both for you and for myself. On one side, he kills me and potentially leads my people into more danger as they follow his reckless path. Or I assist in him being killed and have to live to see my years stretch beyond those of my sons. So I ask again, children of the night, what is it you ask of me?
We ask that you move the people that do not deserve this out of the way.
That is a lot easier said than done. Moving a group of people is not as easy as that seems.
And he looks directly at Wea when Wea says this and goes, you would know about that very personally.
We are not here to evict you of your lands. That will not happen.
Okay, so I need to know. This is Storyteller asking Chad.
Oh no.
The Chad.
The one and only.
All of you know that you have been contracted by Pembroke to get the lupines out of these lands one way or another, either by getting them to flee or killing them or whatever the hell you do. Pembroke wasn't specific. He just wanted them gone.
So they have to be gone. One way.
Are you changing your mind and trying to go against Pembroke and trying to make the people stay? Or are you lying to the elder that, oh yeah, you guys can totally stick around once we deal with, sorry, are you lying to the chieftain that, oh yeah, you guys can totally stick around once we're done dealing with the elder and your son?
I'll just eat my words. I'm not promising him. I'm not going against Pembroke.
Okay, good to know.
And
I need to hear this from also while I'm thinking about it. Everybody else, you know what the mission is. Are you if you plan to tell him that, oh yeah, there'll be a peace or a treaty or something, are you planning on, is your character's personal intention to stab Pembroke in the back or to lie to the chieftain?
I'm not gonna fuck with Pembroke.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
I feel like
fighting
they're the
Pembroke either.
lesser evil. Pembroke is greater than them.
I kind of don't think there has to be a lie, actually.
Okay.
No,
I'll be
yeah.
interested by that.
Well, and here's my thing. We're not essentially in a position where we're trying to deal with them as a problem. Our concern is the thing inside the mountain, and whether or not our success really kind of teeters on the balance of power not shifting to that creature. But again, Liam has made it very clear that he doesn't think an everlasting peace is possible.
Yeah.
He just thinks checks and balances need to be in order for now.
Like for now, we don't have to focus on, you know, driving them out. But of course, you could just say, obviously, we want peace, and we obviously do want peace because we don't want to fight with them. You know, we don't want war with the Lupine.
Okay. So I'll just say for the group moving forward, keeping in mind what you have been contracted by Pembroke to do, just keep that in mind moving forward when how you choose your words. So that way, if you're going to tell a lie, so far you guys haven't. I'm just saying moving forward, if you do decide to tell a lie to the chieftain, I am going to make you roll a subterfuge roll.
Got it.
So he looks at you and goes, I see you have a spirit guide.
But I am curious. Granted, you said your son and I are more alike than I realized, and quite frankly, I am well aware of where my predisposition for hatred for your kind comes from. When I was quite a youngling in my own creation, I had a very unpleasant experience unfold before my eyes, and I was lucky enough to survive. Bloodlust like that doesn't seem to go easy. But I'm curious what sparks it in your own offspring. Does he merely wish to have a show of strength, or is he seeking vengeance for something that is not easily quelled?
both. In my younger years, I was much like my son. I wished to strengthen our people, to fight against the expansion of the white man into our lands, to fight against the destruction that I foresaw. For these gifts, and he gestures to his eyes, were each given to me for service to Gaia, to the earth. And I foresaw the doom of our people if we did not act. I saw no hope, but I could not believe that. I did not believe that my fate and the fate of my people in this land could not be changed. So I fought what corruption I could find, what abominations I could find. My son grew up watching this and wishing to be like me. But violence begets violence. In my youth, I fought one of your kind that had been here long before the rest came. One that was one of the original ones to these lands. And he left me with this gift, and as he stands, he kind of opens his vest that he's wearing a little bit, and there is a large set of claw marks that go from his shoulder all the way down to his stomach. Well, yeah, these claw marks look kind of familiar to you, and the one of your personal abilities. He was destroyed, but left these as a reminder. Years later, his offspring sought me out and instead found my wife. My son had to watch her die while I was out cleansing the land and doing what I thought was right. I have lost much in service to my cause, which is why now in my older years, I wonder if I was doing the right thing or went about it the correct way. Did I really bring peace to the lands, or did I just bring more conflict? It's hard to say. My change of stance, however, was noticed by my son, who still had the same fire and passion that I once did, and those who thought like him, including other chieftains from other lands. It is for that reason that he is able to rally others around him. Some see my ways and my wisdom, and I've been allowed to stay chieftain as long as I have, because they know that I can see things that others cannot and can make connections that others cannot. But as more and more of our people lose their lives, and you may much get the idea that when he's saying my people, he's not purely talking about the lupines. He's also just talking about Native Americans in general, of the mass genocide that is happening with the European expansion and the colonization of America. People lose hope, and they cling to what hope they can find. Some people, like my son, say we still can be strong. We were given these gifts for a reason, and convince them to rally behind them. I will defend my people to my dying breath. My son feels that sometimes the best blow is one that is the one that is struck first. Two sides of the same coin, if you ask me. But this is where his passion comes from.
Well, from what it sounds like. Go ahead.
If your son's thirst for blood will know no bounds, if it will not stop before it is sated, I would highly suggest a different target, such as the vampires to the south that cannot control their hunger.
And you think that that is not his target? Why do you think he calls the other chieftains here? That is most certainly their target, as they see that as a greater threat. I am simply saying that they will not distinguish which of you follow him and which of them do not. As to the teachings of my people, your kind are an unnatural thing brought upon these lands, and have caused great pain to the earth and to our people, as he gestures up to the ceiling, and he points once again to that one area. And as he does so, the mist that is still every so often just almost seems to swirl and clear in the areas that he's pointing to. As I've said before, there is a great hurt and a fear of what is to become of the earth if we allow such unnatural things to continue. We've been warned about what will happen if we do not act as the warriors we were made to be.
Surely. But as you do recognize the greater threat from the south and the known threat that is the white man expanding upon this land, surely you are aware of the other tribes that are being forcefully moved by the human armies.
Indeed.
I assure that your people would not be so weak to succumb to that. But I do think that it would be pertinent of you to move away from, maybe outside of their borders, somewhere where you could have your battlefield closer to home and care for the wounded. Somewhere far from Texas.
You seem to think that there are not multiple conflicts. You think this one is the only one. My people wage wars across this land, as you have said. Also do not seem to think that those of the Guru look just like my people. There are those who walk the path of the wolf, coming in many different shades and sizes across the world. Unfortunately, as your people war amongst yourselves, it seems my people are, in that regard, no better. We are not a unified people across the globe. We could move from here, but there would be another battle just waiting for us. Whether it be from the settlers, whether it be from other creatures that even your kind have yet to find out about, or whether it be from others of our kind that don't take kindly to others moving into their territory.
How much are you willing to sacrifice? Or how much, that's a bad way of putting it.
How many families is your home worth?
No, it's the wrong way of saying it.
Hmm.
What are you willing to do to continue ruling over your clan and break the influence your son has?
Well, and see, before you answer, sir, my associate brings up a fine point that I wanted to ask about as well. You're asking us quite a bit of what we intend to do or what we are going to offer, but you and your people are in as much danger as we are. I would assume that it would be something where you would also have something to offer or some assistance you could provide. But possibly doing something about your son's activities.
When the other chieftains gather, they will be a force that I'm sure can deal with the issue. But there will be much bloodshed. And again, I have found that there's always those who want revenge. Killing one problem simply just sprouts many more. It's a weed that you can never fully extinguish from the lands. So far, what I've offered you is that those loyal to me, as long as I still can rule, do not stop you and your comings and goings, though we have kept a very close mark on your scent. Normally, my people would kill you on sight, as he looks at Liam, you experienced very personally. However, if you want me to rise up against my son, that would create quite a bit of conflict. Even more so than is currently going on. However, I'm willing to hear your plan, as you did ask me here. My tribe's plan is to wait till the reinforcements of the other chieftain come, strike out in numbers, and squash the problem permanently. If you have something or some reason for us to do something different other than to let you handle the problem, I would be very open to hearing what that suggestion is. If you come here asking me for aid and help, I need to know what it is you're asking. If you're simply coming asking for guidance, that I can give very freely. Beyond that, I need to hear what it is you wish to propose.
Well, I at least know what the goal is. The goal is to actually have Noah's clan, at least those who do not wish to be ruled, rise up and challenge that new creature that is, for the most part, just not only usurping the throne, but it is our fear that he is eating them as well. As this creature may be incapable of dining on sustenance of human blood, it is only capable of eating others of our kind. That is something that is a very ravenous hunger that does not end. But putting Michael back in power would go a long way in actually having balance restored to the area.
On top of that, there are certain anchors that have been placed around the land that hold his influence around the area. Removal of these anchors weakens him. It might be from there that we'd get the opportunity together to take down our common enemy. Maybe some help tracking down these anchors and where they're located so that we may eradicate them.
That's
That
something
energy, and that energy in that crystal is what those anchors are made of.
Some way to track them, maybe. Show our good faith that we care about the land as well.
We are looking for the
we can form together. We can show that with this job, we are willing and able to form together to achieve a common problem. We can talk about other things later, but if we mean to rally against a common enemy, this is a way to give us both advantage.
Adele, is there anything you would like to add? You've been pretty quiet during this whole meeting.
I hope we can find a solution that prevents as many innocent lives from being lost as possible. We all have wants here. Some they overlap.
I think the goal is to minimize the loss on both fields while still holding a ceasefire and achieving our goal.
All of you go ahead and make a charisma plus expression roll. Difficulty is 8.
All right. I'm going to use some willpower here. I'm going to use 2.
Same, using 2.
Yeah, this is the moment, guys. This is the big ask.
I have nothing in expression.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm also going to use 2 willpower on this.
Okay, if you have nothing in expression, the difficulty is 9 because it means that your character is not used to getting their point across.
Oh, I'm
Other
so
than
glad.
Atris, where you getting your point across is usually involves the end of a blade or,
different
literally
point.
the point
Yeah,
across.
a point
I
across
do have-
someone's throat.
You have one more success to add to willpower, so that would be a total of 3 successes.
What was the difficulty? 8?
How many is 2 willpower?
It was 8. Then I have 2 successes.
Yeah, everyone mark off your willpower expenditure.
Oh yeah.
3.
See, we got some things we can do, guys. We got this. We're doing good.
Oh, wow, since I use willpower.
Okay, so 3 for Weya,
No, just 2 for me.
2 for Weya, 3 for
Nature.
Atris, 3 for Liam, 5 for Adele,
They go.
and 2 for Noah. Okay. Pretty good across the board.
I have 5 in charisma, so
You're muted.
But we
It
can still
came
hear her through your
I
mic.
heard you through your mic.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bother
2
in muting.
channel.
I have 5 in charisma, so
Nice.
He stares at the crystal for a bit. These anchors you speak of, I have sensed a growing presence of this creature and different pillars of energy that seem to be sprouting up. We've taken care of a few of them, but if you're saying there are more, that would explain how this creature's influence is able to spread so quickly and so far. Hunting these down might actually be something that I can definitely help with, as that would be in line with what my people believe and not asking them to go against their core teachings. Even my son could not argue the benefit of this, and if he tried, he would lose face even among his followers.
We did at least manage to destroy one recently.
We're
good.
close to our own home.
Home is what this is all about.
Whether it be someone's old home, someone's new home, or the home that's always been here.
Give me the rest of tonight, and while you all rest, to study this and to think on this, to see if I can form a plan. Tomorrow night, we will meet again here and talk. I would suggest that you bed down here for the dawn. I can promise you that my warriors who guard this place will allow no harm to come to you. But my son is very much impatient, and he and his followers are looking for you, especially now that they know that you no longer have this. And once again, he holds up the necklace.
Give it back?
Now that would be some real Indian giving. Yes. I'm sorry.
As he goes, stay here. The fact that we are here is something of a secret. If you travel back to your home and then back here again, that secret might be found out, and any sway that I might have had will be gone, as this will be seen as one of the greatest betrayals that I allowed you all to set foot inside this sacred place. You're
Now,
welcome.
Speaking of secrets, I don't believe I'm going to have another opportunity like this again to ask you face to face. The eyes with which you see obviously can see far beyond what is in front of you. I have not discussed this with my companions as I did not want to raise alarms. But there's an associate in our midst who currently is assisting us with deciphering an old riddle that would actually help find your hometown. That was before we had the idea to use this to communicate with you. It also speaks of some sort of orb that may drive your people or entrance them, not sure. So that is part of his studies as well. But my actual question is, I have reason to believe he is not trustworthy, or at least as much as he was before. Certain instances have made me question why he would hide certain things from us.
You wish to know what it is he's hiding?
Part of me likes to err on the side of letting those keep their secrets, as it might be better for all, but he is not merely keeping secrets from me, he's keeping secrets from all of us.
Much as I would hate to admit it and break his trust, I agree with Liam. Since that moment, he's been different. Different in what way, I don't know, but him being so close to us, we should know the truth.
Definitely.
That would be one hell of a way to go, to let our friend be our murderer.
And in exchange, we had this lovely murder vase.
God damn it.
The haunted antique roadshow. Murder vase, $9,000.
Proud of that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you understand that the visions I get are not intentionally vague, but it is not a clear path that is always put before me. I get visions or feelings, understandings that let me gleam into the past and the present. The future is always a very difficult thing, as the future is ever fluid and moving. So it's hard to focus on that, especially. The past is rather set.
Now, I did actually enact a small ritual to see events that happened, but part of that vision was blocked. Would there be any way that you could share that vision with me and see if we could uncover the missing elements?
Unfortunately, I do not know how to give my eyes to someone else.
I was going to see if you could take mine.
I will look and see. I cannot promise you what I will find or what will be made clear to me. But give me a moment. Allow me to think on this. I'll tell you what I know.
I would
And
much
he
appreciate it.
sits for a moment, and all of a sudden you see him start to transform in front of you, and suddenly as he's sitting, the shoulders swell, fur begins to ripple from his body.
Liam's going to take a step back.
Muscled form. Sonoy immediately starts growling and backing up. There's almost like an innate fear of this apex predator that's in front of him. And Sonoy just instinctively starts like backing away from him. And you see the full lupine form, the silver-haired 10-foot tall, muscular creature as he sits there, hands folded in front of him, and he opens his eyes, and the yellow and blue eye are glowing almost as if there's a light shining behind them. And you see the mist in the room start to swirl around him slowly and move. And as it does, it gets thicker, and you see more of just his form, the shadow of it, somewhat distorted by the moving mist. As you see the eyes glowing through them, two little beacons of blue and yellow light piercing through. And as the mist in the room starts to swirl and almost kind of be pulled in towards him, you all look at the drawings on the wall and you swear they're starting to move. And the figures are starting to move, some of them in almost like a dance. Like the hunters, you see them arrows and spears as you see almost the lines moving and hitting the animals. You see the families in the villages talking, and you hear laughter and talking in a language you're not familiar with, even you, whereas this is a different group of people than it is not your native tongue, but you can hear the different voices, and hear laughter in the background and shouts and talking. Overhead in the war, you hear clashing and screams and things like that. You see another one where it's ships coming in, and you see figures that look like they're wearing silver armor, almost similar to the Spanish conquistadors coming through. And it just seems like the pictures almost come alive, and the sounds you hear sound like they're coming from somewhere distant, almost like they're from another room through a closed door, but it's almost like the veil is getting thinner. And do any of you decide to focus on what are you all focusing on while this is happening? What are you keeping close?
Can I focus on the vampire calligraphy?
Sure.
And see if that will, like, how is that changing, or if that changes
Okay.
all with the correlation of the event.
Liam is gonna look and see if, because I know we got kind of this information before. Liam's gonna look and see if there's any depictions of the moon cycles that might indicate that that's kind of when they get stronger or weaker.
Okay. Atris, are you focusing on anything in particular?
You know what? Atris is just be following everything that's moving along the walls. It's kind of like a movie, just absorbing, just seeing if there's, you know, any.
Yeah, it's very much like, I don't know if you've ever been to those museums, or even like that one place in Off the Page when there's like dozens of monitors going on all at the same time. This is literally happening all, like ceiling, walls, floor. So if you're just kind of taking it all in, it's cool. It's going to be a lot of motion and movement, and the voices are kind of confusing because they're coming from different directions, and it's in some ways kind of haunting, in other ways kind of like you're feeling the depth of the history of this group of people. And it does weigh on all of you, that you've also been told to basically remove them from this area that they obviously have such a deep history and spiritual connection to. Noah, is there anything you particularly want to focus on?
Yeah, I wanted to look into the chief's eyes, particularly whether or not they're actually luminescent, if they're providing light to the room, or if they're just glinting, kind of shiny.
Okay. And Adele, is there anything in particular you kind of wanted to focus on?
I'm just switching back and forth between just in general and the stuff like the design specifically on the ceiling and stuff.
I will say then, for Noah, Liam, and Wea, since you are focusing on specific things, give me a perception alertness.
With my eyeballs or with my heart?
That's your eyeballs. Awareness would be with your heart. 3.
4 total.
It just looks funny.
What's funny is on my screen, if Miranda was to suddenly fall off screen, it looks like she would be pulled through the ether on the
Yeah, same.
So I got 7.
All right. We'll start with the 7 successes then. It is very clear that at this point, there is no, where before there was kind of that question of whether or not the oil lanterns that you guys had brought into the space was just reflecting against his eyes, kind of like very much like an animal that's eyes get caught in the light of something. But at this point, there is no question that they are actually producing. Now, it's not like laser beams shooting out of his eyes or anything like that, but it's very much there is a glow coming from each of them because it is shining onto the mist and actually, lighting up the mist in front of him in blue and yellow, respectively. Liam. You're looking for anything that particularly shows the moon, and near the ceiling, there actually is a depiction of the different lunar phases, kind of in a circular pattern around. And it seems to be almost like different groups are sprouting out from the, like, where the depiction of the history of the lupines, they each come from a different lunar phase, as that being the center. And then because there's a face of what looks like a woman at the dead center of the ceiling, and around her there's the lunar phases in a circle around her face, and then out from that spread the lupines, some of them in human form transitioning to wolf, some of them in wolf form transitioning to man. Go ahead and give me, you see it, so give me a wits plus, what would this even be? Wits plus occult. Let's just do that. Two successes. You've heard rumor about this, especially because you have studied lupines a little bit, given your personal history with them. It is very much a human myth that lupines only come out during the full moon. As a matter of fact, one of the things that you already learned from Henry is that other than very, very, very young ones, they can transform at will. It doesn't have to be during a certain lunar phase. However, what this is suggesting is there might be different groups that show particular power during certain, that they show connection during certain lunar phases. So while it seems like all of them can transform at will, there are certain times during certain lunar phases that different groups seem to show a connection to, that, like, they show a specific importance to that particular lunar phase.
Interesting.
Leia, you're watching this, and at first it's just, again, it's kind of like watching something that, because again, these aren't exactly extremely detailed pictures, it's kind of more of a thing, but with you've got 3 successes?
Yeah.
Okay. What you see about this is what looks like at first a lupine, or where a wolf walking on 2 legs, coming up to the others, and you see like what looks like spears or stuff in his back, and pointing to what looks like a group of what you assume are kindred because it has the blood smear. It seems like anything representing the kindred have that blood smear across where the mouth would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it gesture back, and you see some of the other lupines go out with spears and some of the large wolves coming out, and you see a conflict happening over there. You then see this same lupine go, and in your almost like watching it happen, the lupine with the spears shifts, and you see a small human-sized figure with the blood smear across the face, only with the spears still sticking out. And it points back at the lupines. And you see one particularly large, drawn larger than the other kindred things with blood smears. And you know from these kind of drawings that sometimes size it's not to scale, it's to show sometimes importance.
Mm-hmm.
This one goes, and after the now looking kindred one with the spear sticking out of it points back at the lupines, this larger kindred comes in, and you see it just like wiping out and slaughtering, almost clearing the board of the lupines, almost to the point where there's none left. And then your eyes glance back at the one that has the spears, and suddenly, again, this is almost like being between the mist and everything else. It's almost like you guys are sharing a simultaneous trance, almost. And your vision zooms in a bit, and suddenly the spears disappear out of the thing's back, and a smile curls across its lips. And I'll say that's all you have time. I mean, it continues to play out. That's not the end of it. There's more. Again, this is an entire history, but that's where your focus. Yeah. And as you guys all kind of refocus up on everything, the mist kind of starts to stop swirling. The pictures start becoming more still, and almost slowing down to the point where they eventually stop and kind of snap back to the positions that they originally had. And you see his form shrink back down, the hair and claws receding, the snout coming back in, his brown weathered skin with the different scars and things on it, and his graying black hair that's in two braids on either side. And he closes his eyes, and he looks at all of you. Your friend has been in darkness for a long time. He was betrayed by the light that he loved. And whined like a cat. No. To love the light so purely, to seek it out, to think that it would illuminate his path forever, and then have it closed out from him. Long before you met him, he was in darkness, and the light, his inner light, was fading, flickering. When you can no longer call out to the light, the darkness answers. Some of you know this personally. You have each in your own ways, in your own times, given into your own darkness. but this darkness is old. And you notice that the one eye that is yellow, the one that in the past has lit up whenever he talks about the future, there's a little trickle of blood actually coming down from it. And the eye looks a little bloodshot, almost like someone had just punched him like square in the eye. There's definitely a will to this darkness that it did not want me to see. Its full intentions are hidden from me, as he kind of wipes the blood. But I did see this. Your friend's intentions towards your group are honest. He sees you, for better or for worse, as his guardians in the darkness, his guides, ones who have walked the path before him. He thinks he's walking a similar path. But this darkness runs deeper than he knows. It is like a man who tries to swim in a lake thinking that he knows the ocean. It will consume him if he allows it to. And through him, I saw more darkness spreading, if this is allowed to happen. But for now, he's able to keep it mostly at bay. He thinks he has control of it. The future is not yet written whether he will master it or it will master him, but there will be a struggle in this regard. But for now, while he has control, he truly sees you as allies.
Oh, that's at least a comfort I didn't know I needed to hear. Now, I know you did invite us to stay for the evening. Would we be permitted to just, since it is still relatively early, hunt some game just nearby the entrance to make sure that we are nourished for the day?
Yes, that will be fine. One last thing about your friend. This darkness sees him as a bonus, but there's an old grudge regarding someone amongst his family who bested it in the past. It sees corrupting him as simply a added pleasure to get back at the one that bested him.
Way of revenge.
Nobody asked Henry about his family.
But yes, you are welcome to hunt. You'll know you'll have gone too far if this hillside comes out of sight. I would say go no further than the grove of dormant trees. Now, my energies must be focused on thinking and planning. We will discuss more tomorrow evening of what aid I can offer you.
Before you go, I would like to offer you another scent trail, something more substantial for which to track the elder with. And I'd like to present him with one of the vile necklaces.
All right, he takes it from you and he looks at it. And as he brings the two close together, you see the necklace actually start to, almost like a magnet, start to be pulled towards the crystal that has, and you notice the black veins of stuff in the crystal that was made from Sardo start to almost kind of twitch a little bit.
Oh, I'm so happy I brought this.
brought darkness into this sacred place. Let us see if we can make some good of it.
I'm glad you see it the way I do.
I see many things, as once again his eyes kind of light up a little bit. But go. Leave me now. Allow me to think.
I'm gonna go back to the Starry Night room, but I do want to make sure that I stay a little closer to Noah, just because I want to kind of look at it like, if they can take care of the anchors and diminish this thing's power, that might be enough to get those that are loyal to Michael on our side to overthrow.
Or I was thinking that if there cannot be an avoided battle, why is it that he's fighting us and not Clementine?
We just are definitely going to need the assistance of those loyal to Michael, but no, I agree with you.
Most of all, I'll have to make sure that Michael knows that those loyal to him, those that we care about, should not go to fight these lupines.
And Liam just goes back and starts looking at the stars again.
Okay. They are as you left them. Again, a little bit of the steam. Again, not as dense in here as it has the space and everything to dissipate, but it is creating a condensation on the ceiling, which is causing the dripping in the stalagmites and the stalactites.
Oh, there's Orion's belt. Oh, there's his penis.
What rest are you doing now that you're in this room? By the way, you hear echoing down, y'all okay in there?
Yeah, come in. Come in.
Should probably
Wait by the door.
You see Walter walk in, and he's seems to be kind of apprehensive, and he's looking around. He's like, would you look at that?
Yes, it's quite a pretty place. But for tonight, we can at least stay down here while our friend, his friend here, overlooks some things.
We're staying here for the night?
We're staying here for the day.
Sorry, I kind of like you doing that.
Because you're human. But we do have permission if we need sustenance to hunt around nearby the mountain area here. Just don't go too far past the tree line.
Which of us need to top off?
Just in case. I wanted to let him know that we might need to hunt, and rather than just taking something off the land and then getting our asses killed.
That's surprisingly smart of you, Liam.
Yeah, the beating went very well.
Excuse me, ma'am, but if you won't mind, Atris, I certainly would like to borrow that lantern. See our way around the rest of this very large area.
Atris hands over the lantern. Noah, what would you like to do?
I'd like to check the perimeter of the large room and just make sure of what entrances there are.
Okay. Let me pull the map back up.
Back to map.
Okay, so y'all are leaving this room. Sonori, by the way, was like all the way backed up almost to the exit.
Not want to be anywhere near the chief.
No. And that's something that you guys did study with Henry, that it was almost like a biological thing. So if you guys are kind of just hanging out in the center here, Noah, you start walking around and you notice there is one path leading out this way, And it seems like the only other one is the one that you guys came from.
Well, there seems to be a back door over here. I don't know where it leads. Do I feel any gust of wind or breezes going through this path?
Not really, no.
It's often what I also tell my clientele.
Yeah, there's at least this door back here in case we need a quick exit.
Hmm.
For the other.
You know, it might have been a good idea if I would have asked if we had permission to roam around here.
I mean, you know where he is. Do you head back?
Liam's just gonna run by real quick. Y'all mind if we do a little exploring? We don't really see like we're gonna be in here a lot often.
You're welcome to go where you wish. However, I will give you these 2 warnings. Avoid the spider's web. And also, the path you came in, there's a side path that goes to a sleeping chambers where my warriors take rest. Might be best to avoid poking around in there. They follow my commands that they rather not like having their personal space disturbed.
That is duly noted. Runs back. Yes, he said we can go down the back door entrance that Noah found. But that first fork in the road we found, best not to go down that way. That's the guards' quarters, and they might not be too happy about being walked in on.
Oh, well, that's real mighty fine that I heard you guys over here and didn't go over there.
Oh, yes, it is.
All right, well, I'll be off then. I'm going to check off this back door situation. Make sure there's no one sneaking in to kill us during the day.
I'm curious. I'll go with.
Okay. Is anyone else going with Liam and Noah, or are you guys sticking to this room?
I'm gonna stay in the star room and just
Okay.
kind of trace constellations.
Okay.
Atrus would actually go out and top off on blood.
Okay. That is okay. So we're gonna split the party a bit. So Atrus is gonna go over here. These 2 are going to go over here. By the way, who's taking what light source?
I have 1 lantern.
Oh, and so did Liam. Liam will leave the other lantern with Adele and Weya in the center, so they have something.
All right.
I mean, Atrus is gonna have to be traveling blind back up through the tunnel.
At least there's not a whole bunch of Atrus. You get the idea that if you, as you're exiting, if you keep your hand on the right-hand side, you'll be able to just make your way out. It was a pretty relatively straight path. Adele, where are you? Are you staying in the star room? Are you going outside? Are you going with the people exploring? What are you doing?
I'm just gonna stay in the star room.
So for team exploring, you start to travel down. Once again, same thing. You see very, very old claw marks that are left, or that you get that look like they've also been worn down with just erosion and time, which tells you that these tunnels were dug out very long time ago, not at all recent. As you get to this fork in the road, go ahead and give me a perception alertness roll.
5 successes.
4.
Okay. Both of you look up and you notice right in the dead center where this path splits off into two, you look up, you see carved in the center what looks like a spider. You see the body and head with the 4 legs to the front, 4 legs to the back.
Okay, well, that's one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. The chief did say to avoid the spider's web. Didn't know what the hell he meant by that.
Well, that's a spider, but are any of these other lines supposed to be connected to its butt?
I mean, you just see a carving of a spider up in the ceiling. It looks like a rough carved spider drawing.
Oh. Now, the cave may branch out quite a bit. It might be hard to find your way back. I mean, we have hours to kill.
What do you guys do?
Forward or to the left?
Shall we tumble into danger?
Please.
Yee.
Usually what spiders mean.
Is the spider on like in the top in the center, or is it on one side of it, Sean?
Top in the center.
Is it pointing a certain way?
It seems to be pointing like if you guys are facing like this way, its head is kind of facing where this junction is.
Oh, okay, but no indication of like a left or right. It's just kind of
Correct.
center.
Yes.
I'll take a right.
Okay, that'll be
You
going
take
down
the
this
high
way.
road. I will take the low road.
Nope, that would be your left, so that this would be
Yeah, that
right.
way.
And then since only one of you has the light source, are you going with Noah?
Oh, I guess I'll go with Liam since he took the lead.
Okay. You guys start to come down here. And you see another junction. What do you do?
Wow, this looks real familiar. Let's look at the ceiling.
You don't see anything on the ceiling.
Oh.
This looks a lot less familiar.
Well, we could just keep our hand on the wall and keep going down this side, or we can turn back now.
I say we go back and get more people for all these branches. How else are we going to find out what's at the end?
We could ask, but where's the fun in that?
Maybe we'll even send the chief down one of the branches.
I have a feeling he knows what's down each of the branches.
Well, if these branch enough, I get the feeling that this might be the spider web that I thought was attached to the spider butt that wasn't facing towards any of this.
It might be best to just kind of hug the wall and go back to the star room.
Lead the way, stuff.
I mean, you have the lamp. I'm just touching the wall and walking back.
All right, so you guys are heading back?
Yeah.
Okay. While they were gone, Team Star Cavern, Wea, Adele, and Sonoy. You're looking around. Wea and Adele, is there anything particular you're doing, talking about, anything while you see Liam and I'll say for sake of conversation, Walter is going to be sticking with his blood brother, so he'll be in here too.
I guess I'll just kind of I'll kind of walk around and like once I start getting a good layout of what the star map is, I would assume that Weo would know a little bit about the constellations, not like anything crazy.
Yeah, I would say he probably doesn't know a lot about like what European people called them, so you're not going to know, oh, there's, the different like Greek, like there's Pegasus and stuff. Like he probably doesn't know that kind of stuff. He just knows what his people called it and how they used it to tell direction, time of year, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
That's
I'll
the
just
big
kind of
pineapple.
I'll stand there next to Walter and Adele, and I'll just be like, um, I'll point to the star roof, and I'll say, my people used to use that as a guide through the winter time to get past safe, to make safe travel. And I'll point over to the next one and goes, we'd look at that one for light during I don't know, during the dust time, blah blah blah, and I'll just kind of talk about the meanings of some of the stars and what they correlate with my Cherokee background, and that's kind of how I'll spend my time. And I can't help but to feel like like I'm outside again in the wild by myself by looking up at the stars.
I will say that, yeah, by looking up at the stars and how they're kind of twinkling in the light of the oil lantern that you have, the little bit of the fog that's the mist that's coming in from those hot geysers from the other room, it dripping, so there's almost like the sound of like a light rain almost. It's hard to remember that you're actually underground in here. And you can see where a people especially with your ability, Wea, to transform into a wolf and other animals and be as connected to nature as your clan is, on top of your nation's background and their connection with nature. You can see why a group of beings that can transform into these creatures, and some of them, as what you learned from Henry, started out as wolves and then learned to become men. You can see where there would be a comfort and something of a peace in this kind of place. And Adele, you definitely find it very pretty. And again, looking at it more from the artistic standpoint of the fact that people had to actually plan where to put all these little shiny gems, there's a lot of dedication there that like people of your clan would even find this as quite a masterpiece that took probably generations of their people to complete. Where go ahead and give me a perception plus survival roll for me, please. Just because this is a little bit more your forte, and Walter is very engrossed with what you're telling him, and you're like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, I know a little bit about reading star maps, but didn't know what your people call them. That's really nice. But go ahead and give me that. What'd you get?
I got 6.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, that'll do it. You're looking up at the map, and you notice that amongst all the things that are extremely accurate, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly where that is in relation to that, there's one cluster of stars that shouldn't be there.
I'll kind of like go and point, and I'll try to get like, is there anything around that point that I can maybe like get on to get closer to the ceiling to make it out more?
I mean, there's a couple of different like rock outcroppings. There's also those stalagmites that are coming from the ground that you can kind of crawl up.
Yeah, can I do that and try to crawl up them and get like a nice balancing point to get a better look at
Yeah.
stars that are missing?
I'll say you go ahead and do it. It's a little bit slick from the moisture, but you're able to, you're not in any rush or anything like that, so you're able to do careful footing and everything else. And as you look closer, you go, that looks like a wolf's head. And you can kind of see where the stars make this almost where it looks like a wolf looking down at you guys. And I'll say up from this vantage point, you are starting to look around, and you remember the markers that Henry mentioned so far. And you're noticing that this one particular stalagmite a little bit over, like where it would be like right underneath where this wolf's, or a little bit to the side where the wolf's head is dripping down enough where it's making this little stream of water. And you're looking at the rock piles, and you're looking at and you're starting to notice that, wait a minute, these piles of rock that are on the ground are intentionally placed. And you're thinking back of a map of the area that you've looked, and you suddenly realize that they are depicting either different mountains or plateaus, or this is actually a recreation of the area made with these different structures. And that the wolf's head seems to be looking down over something.
And I can't tell what it is just by looking at the map, but it correlates to something like outside of the cave, is what you're saying.
Right. And I'll say, do you go over and look, like, do you go to stand directly under where the wolf's head is looking?
Oh yeah,
down?
yeah. I'm fully encapsulated by this now. Like, I want to know.
Okay. You go down and you look, and pressed into the earth, and I mean it's solid stone with you move some of the dirt and everything else, and underneath that, someone long time ago, kind of like the scratch marks, you can see where the erosion and stuff has happened. There's a handprint in the dirt, but it's a big wolf handprint, like when they're in the full battle form.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those scratchings that you see, there's some word or something scratched into the palm of it.
Some word you said?
Yeah, I mean, there's some scratchings that you can tell is their language that's on the walls, and there's something in the palm of the handprint that's in the earth that's directly underneath where the wolf's head is looking.
And I'll kind of just like look at it. Do I feel like drawn to it, or is this just like, oh, it's like a handprint with some writing on it?
I mean, go ahead and give me a perception plus awareness roll.
Because I would feel like Weo would be pretty like interested in figuring out all this. 7.
Okay. You definitely feel that there's an energy in this I mean, this whole, you especially have been to sacred places before, like of your people and things like that. And ever since your embrace, you've been a little bit more in touch with that kind of stuff. There's definitely an energy in this room. You're not getting anything specifically from like, oh, this one area is radiating more than the rest, but there's definitely something like in this room. And again, it's not negative, it's not positive, it's just there. It exists.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say out loud, I'm gonna say, you know, part of me thinks that if I was never embraced, that maybe my path could have led somewhere else. Maybe with these guys. I don't know. Just hard to shake the feeling that I could have belonged here.
I'll say you got 7 successes, right, Wea?
Yeah, it was 7.
You touch you kind of put your, when you say that
I was gonna put my hand in the handprint.
You put your hand in the center, and in a voice you don't recognize, and it's very much in your head, you hear one word. And it's in a language you don't recognize. You recognize it to be the language of this group of people. But it's somehow the translation comes through in your mind as you do actually feel this spiritual connection, and you just hear one word: home.
Yeah. Home. And I'll just kind of like, I'll get off what I'm off on, and I'll just kind of just like sit down and just look up at the wolf's head and think about what that means to Wea and what it means to me of, you know, being gone for so long, separated from my people, or finding home by myself, and having this be their encapsulation of that, and just how that kind of resonates with me.
And I'll say, with the successes that you rolled so far, you get the idea that if the floor is supposed to be like the landscape and the stars are supposed to be up above, you get the idea that what this is looking at is, you guys have been looking for the base of where the village is.
Mm-hmm.
You get the idea that this is pointed, like this is their map home. Like this is how they get back. And you get a pretty good idea that if you were to look at one of your guys' maps again, now how you get there, you still think that you might have to get the translations from Henry of like, since you got, I mean, as an owl could probably now fly there, but if you remembered it correctly. But as far as the rest of the group on foot, they would have to follow the path that's being sussed out from the journal of the one captain of the Crusaders. But you get the idea that, like, as someone who can turn into a flighted animal, you now know the location of where the Lupines village is.
God damn, hell yeah. And I'll just kind of actually, I got an out of character question real quick.
Yeah.
The map that you gave us, that's out of character, right? Our characters don't have a map.
Oh, you guys do have a map. I mean, the map's an easy enough thing to. That's why I even got the.
I didn't want to just be like, oh yeah, I have a map in my back pocket. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you packed it with you, you'd probably be with the horses, probably not like on your.
True.
You know.
True. Okay. Yeah. I'll just kind of take note and try to remember.
Okay. And by the way, Adele, you're watching all this and you're seeing him looking up and then looking down and then looking all around and then he's touching something on the ground. What do you do when you see him doing all this? And then you hear him talk. His life could have, if his life had been different, he felt a connection to these people.
You find something up there?
Just a reminder of safety, of home, and what that means to them. Not only being who they are, but they're natives. They're like me. I could only imagine if someone were to drive them away from this place. It'd be heartbreaking. Reminds me of what I've left behind. What I may never go back to see again. It's all. Just a reminder of home.
Well, it obviously wasn't in the same circumstances. I do understand not going back home, not being able to.
I can go back, but I fear something would happen if I do go back. As much as I fear losing control of myself. I don't think I could see another night if I went back and harmed another one of my people. So this just reminds me that, even though I'm far away from my people, this still feels like home.
Walter comes up and kind of just puts a hand on your shoulder and gives it a encouraging squeeze.
Enough about that. I wonder what everyone else has found.
Yeah. So moving on. Atris, you make your way. It's dark, but you eventually make your way back out. Again, it's not a complicated tunnel. It's not quite as labyrinthine as underneath San Miguel. So it's easy enough to. And again, it's a pretty. Again, the cave didn't really go deeper. It just, as far as like down, it just went deeper into the hillside. So you make your way back out into the night air. What do you do?
She didn't need that much blood, so she's just gonna use a combination of obfuscate and spell just to find an animal or two and get a few blood points.
Okay, go ahead and do obfuscate for me, please. So you do obfuscate. You're good enough at that. Go ahead and give me a. This is going to be a wits plus survival to try and hunt. Atris is used to usually having a steady supply of human targets, not necessarily having to feed off the land, so to speak.
That's one success.
It takes you a while, but you eventually see a rabbit hopping along, kind of scratching at some of the underbrush. White coat, as it is camouflaged during the winter. Go ahead and give me a dex. Are you going to try and attack it with a weapon, or are you going to try and just grab it with your hands?
Oh, might as well just grab it with my hands.
Dex plus brawl. Difficulty is only 5 as it cannot see you.
All right.
I feel like this is the equivalent of like grabbing a fish out of the lake. Yeah, like some straight Karate Kid shit.
5, 6, 7.
What's the sound of one fish owing?
8 successes.
You, with a predator-like strength, grab that rat as it's kicking, is freaking out, and you sink your fangs into it. Now, you've had to feed from animals in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You notice something different.
Uh-huh.
You start draining and drinking and drinking, and it is like drinking water. You get no sustenance from it whatsoever.
Oh, shit.
As a matter of fact, much like when, do you have the merit eat food?
I do.
Cool. It's much like that. You feel the blood in your stomach, but it's literally just sitting there. Your body is not absorbing it. It's just something that's taking up space.
Damn.
Well, this is annoying. Well, this is going to sit in my stomach, so I guess I'm going to just regurgitate the blood.
Yep.
Blood puke.
That's the name of my garage band.
Hell yeah.
Murder Face and Blood Puke now performing.
Yeah, that's my punk band, dude. Blood puke.
And yeah, this is actually kind of disturbing for you. This is the first time ever that this has happened where you've gained no sustenance from animal blood.
This is dope.
All right, then. In that case, Station is going to reverse her course and go right back into the cave.
Okay. That's easy enough to do. You meet back up, and I'll say by this time, timelines converging, you all kind of meet back up at the same spot.
Leia, are you indicating to the group at all that the room is kind of just like a site map, not telling us that how to get to their village, but that it's kind of that?
Oh, Liam, nice to see you. How'd the adventure go?
There was I was given a warning about the spider's web. We saw a spider carving and thought, turn around.
Okay, so Not much, but heeding the warning. That's good.
Mhm.
Well, if you look up, and I'll kind of move Liam up, and I'll point to where the wolf's head is, and then I'll kind of I'll detail him like that. I'll detail the rest of it around it, and I'll tell him it looks like they built this to be a map of the area, and with this, I might be able to figure out where their main camp is. It might not
Interesting.
be a place that we can walk to, but with my ability of flight, I could fly right over it.
Oh.
And this is all correlated with our maps that we have back on our horses. I do suggest that we copy this before we leave. This is information we will not find anywhere else.
Liam kind of wants to. Noah, can I have the lantern back for a moment?
Of course. Here you go, my good sir.
So Liam kind of wants to walk around the room and see if he can kind of semi suss out certain markers. One, know the silver mines that Noah is in, and two, the San Miguel mission.
And I want to help him with this. I'll kind of talk him through and try to see if we can together connect the dots.
Perception plus investigation. So perceptigate, Liam. And I'm going to say since Wea's helping you, it's going to be difficulty 5. You still make the roll, but it's difficulty 5 because Wea's assisting you.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Walter, if you don't mind too much, can you run outside and grab our maps off the horse?
Sure, I can do that. And that's not a problem.
I'm so happy that was diff 5. So that is now 7 successes because I got 2 10s and they re-rolled a diff 5 and a 6.
Okay. You look and kind of trying to judge where things are, and with a way of kind of helping and guiding you, you do actually see this one area to so from the southeast of where the home is, you see on the ground. Again, it's one of those things of you have to push back the dirt and everything that has built up and everything. But as you get down to that core rock level, you actually see a vein of silver, what looks like almost silver. Now, you don't know if it's actual legitimate. You guess that's probably not legitimate silver, given that this is the home base of lupines, but something that has a silvery reflection in it. You then
Can you kind of circle your mouse on the map kind of so I can get a little bit of a visual?
Okay, so if this over here is, let's say, where St. Angelo is, and this is where, so it'd be like down here, which would be in correlation to the path you guys travel to get from St. Angelo to Taylorsville.
Okay.
So it would be like down here, right by where like this rock is.
Okay.
You then go, okay, walking that way, you look around here, and you actually notice carved in what looks like with a giant claw, a cross in the ground. And you're looking at, and that pretty much correlates with where the San Miguel mission is and where the, and I'll say the claw mark you notice is a relatively newer, like it's not as weathered and worn as the rest of it, which would make sense given that the mission is a newer, relatively speaking, structure than the mines and things like that. Because even before the mines were mines.
The mission is, but that crash site is old.
Right.
And then I kind of want to walk up to kind of where my character's marker is right now anyways, ish there. I kind of want to see if in that area there's another marker that I don't know about, because I want to see if I basically am trying to see if there's like a grid out here that kind of shows that there might be something else.
You don't particularly see any. You look around and does not really seem to be anything specifically right there.
I'm basically trying to see markers that might look like markers of power.
You don't necessarily. I'll say you look around. I won't make you roll for it, but you don't necessarily see that. It's not necessarily not there, but you don't see that this particular map is marking that out.
Okay, so I kind of figured they're keeping eye on their prospective enemies.
Right. You're enemies, friends, and the layout of the land. You get the idea this isn't necessarily a spiritual like map. It's just the actual physical location of things.
And would down be like south, like towards Mexico, where this about would
be? Correct.
I'm just gonna kind of walk down there and just kind of see if there's a marker down there in that region.
You do. I will say, go ahead and give me this one would be a perception, another Perceptigate roll. Difficulty is going to be 7, just because you're looking for things that way I hadn't already sussed out at this point.
Can I assist him with that?
Sure. Yeah, if you want, that'd make a difficulty standard for you.
Well, then 2.
Okay. I'll say for 2 successes, you do actually see again, you see other markers, which again, it seems to be the physical land rather than a whole bunch of cities and things like that. However, you do find another one of those handprints, slightly different. It doesn't say, it's not the same scratches of the one that Wea found, but another one in you actually find them in a couple of different locations, and you get the idea these are miles and miles apart, but you're getting the idea that these, if it means the same basic thing, that they're mapping out where other clans, other tribes might be. And you do notice to the south, you see scratches that, again, it must be some other word, and something red smeared across it. And you give it a quick sniff. Go ahead and give me a perception plus alertness.
I hate 1s, but I got some 10s, so let's re-roll that. Five successes, actually.
It's very, very old, and it has stained the rocks, but you get the idea that this is not paint. This is actually blood. That whatever that scratch, there's a word there, and every so often you'll see one of those words with blood smear across it. And there are more of them towards the south.
Okay.
I'll say this, because you rolled so high, you start going over to the east, and where Mr. Black's location is, you see that word with the blood smear on it too. And I'll say, with your intelligence, you're starting to get that might be a marker for where there is high kindred activity.
And then just a very last thing, I'm going to go where approximation-wise our home would be.
Okay. I'll say, given everything else you've sussed out, you see some very new scratches and fresher blood put on.
Well, they're definitely keeping track of their enemies. And I believe this right here might be us.
Us how?
They
Ah.
know where we are. Why haven't they why haven't they struck us down yet?
Yeah, I'm presuming the
least-
only thing that's keeping them at bay is that little contract we have.
And by the way, I will say there's also one of those marks over by where the silver, the shiny silver is. There's definitely one of those marks, and it's much older and faded there for the one that means kindred.
Definitely feels like this contract is a lot thinner after hearing and seeing all this proof.
True, but this place is old. They might not have been waging war, but they are definitely being very observant.
Should I get rid of that one that's supposed to be us as I pull out the shovel?
Oh, I wouldn't damage anything in here.
I fear we wouldn't see the dawn.
I slowly put the shovel back.
Noah's just itching to use that serrated shovel.
The shoveler, dude.
But I'll say after a few minutes, Walter does come back, and he has one of the maps with him. You guys see that someone killed some poor rabbit and just left it out there?
That's strange.
Oh,
Anything around this part,
about-
we usually just eat it.
yeah. About that, I tried to eat it, and I didn't. It was like I was drinking water. Like I couldn't. It was. I had to regurgitate it. Like it didn't. I couldn't take it. I have a feeling why, but
Sounds like what happens when I try to eat or drink anything.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. Like if I was actually trying to consume human food. So I don't know. I've only tested it on an animal. I don't know if this is going to happen if I try to feed off of a human or to anyone else.
What did you wish for exactly?
To be able to consume VK without any consequence.
Oh, I think there's a consequence.
Oh, that tricky little bastard.
To be fair, actually, just as a reminder to David, your specific words were the ability to break my clan's curse on myself and consume Vitae without any ill effects.
Okay.
Oh.
I wanted to get rid of the gin. I just did, and I thought it was an ample excuse, and I thought that it covered all bases.
Oh, no. No. I'm sure this tricky little sack of shit made it so that you can absolutely drink Vitae without any ill effects. It just limited your ability to drink anything else.
Well, how many more wishes do you have?
Well, I kind of used them all during that whole exchange, and then once before when I, had everyone's illusion broken when we were all in that shack or in that bar. So I guess to answer your question, I wouldn't have any wishes. I mean, I did release the gin after all.
You might be in some serious trouble.
Oh. Unless we tested, I have a feeling you're right, Rhea.
It's not like we're gonna find a human around these parts.
I'll have to stomach it for now, but this kind of worries me a bit.
Speaking of hunger, I'm gonna go hunt if anyone would like to join us as I motion towards Sonoy.
I will join you.
I'm limited anyways. I'm just gonna start. I'll take the map from Walter and I'll start kind of making markings
Okay.
across it, following along the room.
Adele, are you doing anything in particular?
Not really. Just observing because I get to now that I have eyes again.
Okay.
I'll say for those who want to go hunting, you can get 2 blood points each. That's because you have, since animal blood is only worth half of what human blood is. For those who want to go hunting, you can, so that would be Noah and Wea, you each get 2 blood points. Sonoy finds a meal for himself.
On the way out the cave, I wanted to ask Wea to help me with my survival. And so I'm gonna quietly follow him while we hunt.
Okay.
So, so you said you wanted to know more about survival. Well, I'll teach you the basics that I was taught when I was a child. Hopefully that'll be easier to digest. Well, come follow me. And then I'll spend the night like teaching him how to hunt and like picking up tracks and making sure to tell him that with his smell he wants to stay like downwind from anything. Just like the pretty much the basics, stay downwind.
You teach them about tracks and how to identify them as far as like how old they are, how fast the animal was moving, what kind of track. Oh, well, that's obviously a deer and this is a rabbit, and you're able to point out different things. You're able to show him, like, you look for the droppings too to see how fresh they are. You see grass that's bent a certain way. You teach him a lot of the basics of tracking and hunting in the time that you have. I will say you guys get back sometime as dawn is approaching. You guys are spending time in this room and you hear footsteps as coming in through here. You see 3 full werewolves walking in. One with thick brown fur, one with black fur, and one with a like a grayish kind of fur. And they are all staring daggers at you guys. They do have clothing on. They have different leather, mostly leathers and stuff like that. And they're holding weapons. And you see one with like a quiver of lupine-sized arrows. We're talking about like the shaft being this big. These are huge, them-sized weapons. One with a pair of tomahawks on his side, and the other one holding a spear. And they say something to each other in this guttural growling, like, and they kind of just look and they walk into the room that the elder is in. And you get the idea that these, because they didn't attack you and didn't seem shocked that you were there, this is probably the guards that the elder was speaking of. They're definitely not pleased that you're there, but they're taking his lead and not going against his wishes.
We could take them.
Sonoy by this point is already backed up behind like a stalagmite. Growling to still show like, oh, I'm tough, but like backing away to be like, not that tough. Is there anything else you guys want to do tonight before it is getting relatively close to dawn?
No, I'm done. I did everything I wanted to do.
Same.
Yeah, Atris is done.
Okay. You all bed down for the you see these same ones come, and one of them, the one in gray, shifts down to human form. We'll make sure nothing gets to you during the day, leeches. But know this. You do anything that makes us feel that you are betraying. And he nods his head in the direction of the chieftain, his trust. And I will rip your throat out myself. Pleasant dreams. And he shifts back into the, kind of like to punctuate the point, shifts back into the full lupine form, and he motion. You kind of get the idea that he leads this particular group, and he motions for them, and they head back out the towards the front.
Yeah, shows what he knows. Most of us don't dream.
I haven't had dreams in a long time.
Well, that was mighty friendly of them.
It's better than the alternative.
And Walter just kind of pats his sidearms a little bit and goes, well, guess we gotta call it a day. And you all bed down. Wea, go ahead and make your nightmares roll.
Oh, I was gonna be like, does being here negate nightmares?
Go ahead and make your nightmares roll.
Oh, damn. Okay.
You should know not to ask that.
Well, I wasn't going to, but nightmares is current willpower. I used 2 willpower. Let me see where I'm at real quick. 5 willpower. Success. 3 successes. 3 8s.
You sleep soundly, more so than you have in a long time. There's actually, yes, there's the death of dawn that comes, but there's something even kind of rejuvenating about being in here. Everyone gains 1 willpower point. Wea, you actually gain 2.
Oh,
What? Hell yeah.
However, a vision does come to all of you in your sleep. And you see the chieftain, and all of you get the exact same vision. He's holding up the crystal that you gave him, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
And the black energy is kind of swirling in it. Break the chains. Untether the binds. Weaken the source. And it's like the vision seems to have trouble. Like normally it's very clear, very together. This seems to be almost like disjointed a bit. His strength is his weakness. Use his rage. Let them fight. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you. And the vision fades. You all wake up. You all spend a blood. What do? You are in the Star Cavern.
Liam is just curious. Did the stars move at all?
Doesn't seem like it.
Okay. Does the room itself? Because I forgot to ask. Does the room itself have any depiction of the moon?
No.
Okay.
All it has is the stars up above, what you now notice to be very hidden markers on the ground, other than the ones that are making, or the rock formations and the stalagmites that make up geographical markers on the ground. And then the language with the handprints on the walls that seem to have some other kind of meaning.
Well, should we go back to our sauna room and see if there's any news?
Oh, I suppose, especially if he keeps asking, or keeps invading our dreams every night.
I will admit it's actually nice to dream once in a while. I haven't done it in centuries.
I can use him as a break for another few decades.
So you all head into the room that you had the meeting with the chieftain?
Yep.
Yep.
So
Okay.
we're all trotting along.
I just hope it's a room with a moose.
Which of you, what's the marching order here?
I mean, I'll go first again. I don't mind.
Okay. Next.
I guess I'll go last, holding the other lantern.
Okay.
I'll go behind Lee.
I'll fall away.
Adele?
Sure, I'll go next.
Noah is at the end. I'll say Walter will kind of be right behind Adele, but in front of Noah. So you go in, it's early in the evening. You're not sure exactly what time, but you sense it's very early in the night. The steam is extremely thick. As you approach, and once again, kind of like when the mist was swirling around him, you see him, and you see the figure kind of very obstructed by the mist, but sitting on the on his seat. What do you guys do?
Is this seat taken?
No response.
Liam is cautious. Liam is going to open his nostrils and he's just going to see if he smells anything that smells like death or blood.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception alertness. Difficulty is going to be 8 just because of the amount of steam and everything. Like, it's really hard to...
Is he breathing? Can I see like breath in his chest?
You can't see because of how obstructed the steam is in the room.
2.
2? You're smelling a little bit of blood.
Oh no, dude.
I smell blood.
Morokoro, are you there?
No response.
I walk up to his body.
Excuse me, Chiefy. Was that you last night?
I examine his body as I walk up to it.
Okay, you walk up. Tell me exactly what you do, Leia.
I slowly begin to approach him, and I don't touch him.
Okay.
But I want to just kind of take a look around his body to see if there's any puncture marks.
Okay.
I'll open my nose to see if I can pinpoint where the blood's coming from.
As you approach, the mist starts to get easier to see. As you couldn't tell this from further away, but as you get closer, His chest is cracked open, his entrails spilt out on the ground. And you notice that you look down and your guy's feet, what you thought was just the water from the steam, is actually blood, and that you guys have been walking through it. He's clutching something in his hand, and you see 2 puncture marks in his neck.
Oh, fuck me running.
We gonna die, y'all.
And you see something. He's definitely clutching something, and he's just sitting there.
What is it? I what's in his hand?
Oh, you can't see his hands clutching it to you.
I am. He's got something in his hand, guys. We need to get out of here.
Liam just kind of takes out like scrap of just like from one of his shirts that he's keeping for just in case, and he's just kind of wrap his hand. He's gonna try and get it out.
Okay. There is a bit of I'm blanking. Yeah, the rigor mortis was the word I was looking for. Go ahead and give me a strength check.
Oh fuck! I knew it too, dude. Ugh.
I'm gonna take a closer look, and if I notice the neck marks, I'm definitely gonna say, "Oh no, they're framing us."
What was the success? Okay, you're able to get it up, and it is the gem. However, in looking closely at it, there is something etched on it. Like it's the gem that you gave. It's the crystal you gave him with the black swirls.
I'm picking it up.
Yeah, what's on it?
I mean, besides blood, you notice that there are some markings that he's put on it, and it seems like it's something that he's intentionally done. Like it's definitely like on different sides of the surface. As you're trying to suss it out, you guys hear in the distance, Wea, you speak more of a wolf-based thing. Go ahead, I'll say, but it's not exactly the same as actual wolf. I will say, give me a wits. This is just going to be wits because you don't speak. So
Oh, it's not going to be very good, guys. Oh, I have 2 dots in wit. I thought I only had 1. Here we go. And that's a botch.
I have no idea. You just know that it's probably not a good sign that there's.
Yeah, I know you're not muted, Sean, but you sound really far away.
Yeah, you're quiet as hell.
Just out of curiosity, can he add any empathy to find out what the language sounds like while they're speaking it? Anger roar?
For whatever reason, hold on, no, for whatever reason, we can't hear Sean right now at all.
Oh no, the vampires got him too.
It's coitus.
We might be able to hear you through Miranda's mic if
Yeah. Does your audio still work, Miranda?
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You know that howl is not a good noise. And echoing from somewhere in the chamber, you hear barks, growls, and snarls, and they are getting louder. And that is where we're going to end things for tonight.
Oh, the fucking cliffhanger. God damn you. Oh, shit.
Liam did take that crystal, though.
Oh, yeah, we're taking that with us. Yeah, we're not leaving that.
Wait, quick, scratch those bite marks off.
and gesturing at you guys, saying, "Break the chains, untether the bonds, weaken the source."
In before fucking Reggie did it. I swear to God, dude, if Reggie did this, oh man, Way is even more pissed now, dude.
I think it's the sun. I just think we're being set up regardless.
But it was bite marks, man.
I mean, they have fangs,
not like ours, man.
No,
not like ours.
I mean, you can fake a puncture wound.
Yeah, they got
Man,
big long
that
nails.
shit. Like, from looking at the wound, does that shit look like a vampire bite, or does it look like any other sort of canine? Oh,
I
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Spurs.
man.
You're gonna have to wait till next week if you want to spend the time to actually
Oh.
investigating the body.
I say we take a knife to the bite wound to make it look like claw marks instead of the
I
bite.
say we don't fuck with the body at all.
Bear claw that neck.
Oh my god.
Take the evidence off.
How about when they come in, what Liam's like holding his neck like mid thing, he's like, "Oh, hello."
What
Yeah, like caught in the act, yeah.
It's not what it looks like.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll figure out XP once we finish recording.
Everyone at home, thank you so much for watching with us. If you're liking what you're watching, please like, subscribe, tell your friends.
Your mic's working now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all of a sudden you came
That's
back
why
in.
we're really confused.
Yeah, and I literally didn't touch
audio.
anything. So
Get your friends into the show before we all die next week.
yeah, exactly. I mean, let's see. We will be discussing with our favorite cowboy to see if we can get him in his new time zone incorporated with this, because I know he'll definitely want a piece of this action. And Lyman, we miss you. Hope you can join us and be playing again soon. To everyone else, thank you so much for joining us on this mission, and keep your fangs and your wits sharp. Thank you for joining us on Tumbleweeds and Tombstones. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Stay shiny.